Thank you. All right, at 6:30, I'm going to call the order of the meeting for tonight's Select Board meeting. I really appreciate everybody coming out today and to discuss the trash. But first, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you please all rise and join us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I think we're going to start off with a presentation from Arthur. Right away.
Get echo over there from that computer. All right, so for those who, a little feedback here, but all right.
Is there,
Turn the mic off. Put it on Zoom. Mute the mic.
All right.
Test, test.
still echo? Wait. Arthur, say tested,
Test 1, 2. I think it's all right, I guess.
except we can hear it there.
I know.
He can't mute it? Oh.
There you go.
All right. No.
It's still? Does that have to be right there? Why does that have to be right there?
Test.
Try that.
Test. Yes. A little bit of an echo. Test. Is that it? All right. Test, test, test. All right, so I think we can start. Is that all right? Yeah, so I am the highway superintendent. So if you don't know me, my name is Arthur Marcos. I was given this task by Rebecca, who was asked for some kind of analytical information from our trash perspective. So I came up with a trash collection data analysis, fancy word, but it's basically going to look at the amount of trash per person, per household, and kind of break down numbers really quick, kind of show what we produce as a town for trash. And this is information I feel is fundamental information that we probably should have had a long time ago, maybe before we started the discussion of how big our carts are going to be. But I think, nevertheless, we have it now, so I think it'll be really informative for me to explain this to everybody that makes the decisions on what cart sizes we ultimately will have in town. So our first.
Oh. You didn't?
You got a screen share again?
Can you start that up again? I can't really change the slides, that's why. It's right on the desktop. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so go to the second slide. All right, so the town currently has, all right, so to get these analytical data, the town, we went back 5 years of data. So we get billed per month by our hauler, and so we are available to have our tonnage per month, which ultimately can give us our tonnage per year. So as you can see on the next slide, so we have our tonnage per year, which is in black, and then we have our cost is in green. So what we're looking at here is what I want to kind of show through this is that we've been consistent along about within last 5 years. We've been around 2,000 tons per year, and also we see a fluctuation in cost because our tipping rate goes up. So this kind of shows that as a town, as our behavior, there's not a huge fluctuation in tonnage per year. So my next slide. So here's some general trash statistics that I think people should be familiar with. So total number of households is 2,123 households that get service to trash. That's not, obviously that doesn't include everybody in town because we have condos. We also have commercial or businesses that do not get trash. So we focus on only the households that get trash that's being serviced by our current trash contract. Total number of persons that actually get our trash service is 6,066 people live within those households. Obviously, that's not the entire population. Our annual trash our annual trash per town, for that town, and the number I use to going forward for my calculation is from last year, since it will be the most accurate. So it's 2,136 tons, which is about a little more than 4 million pounds per year. So it's kind of a cool stat to know that town puts out over 4 million pounds of trash per year. I'll go to the next slide. So what I did is I calculated what our average trash per household is, so a simple calculation. And I kind of broke it down in different segments. So first would be average trash per household per year is about a ton. So every house kind of puts out about 2,000 pounds per year. Average trash per household per week is 41 pounds. And there's a calculation that I'll kind of go, I'll show you a little after. It's about 31.73 gallons. So each household, on average, a week puts out 31.73, a little under 32 gallons, which is actually great because our town current contract allows 64 gallons, that's two 32s that you can use. So on average, we don't fill that full 64 gallons, which is good to know that we're not out there putting more than we're allowed and being charged for that much. But that number, as it is a great average, it doesn't really tell the truth. So what you want to do is look at how much per person per week that each person puts out. And in town, it's 13.54 pounds per person. Now, the best way to doing this is take that average per person per week, and then you're going to multiply it over our household will be the best way to give you the realist information you'll need. So go to the next one. So what we did here is we have these stats now. These stats were given to us obviously by the assessor, but we have these numbers that have been actually very, have been honed in with our recycling cart rollout. So we haven't been able to have a very accurate numbers of how many households and how many people in those households. So what we did is so for example, one person household, they would be putting out 13.5 pounds. Two-person household would be putting out 27 pounds, and so forth. Three-person household, 40 pounds, and four-person household is 54 pounds per week. And next to that gives you the amount of houses and amount of households and amount of people that it affects. And I'll get a little more specific on this, but this kind of gives you in each household how many pounds and then how many people are in actually those houses. So we get the next slide. So the big issue now that we've had all along, and I think it kind of was never really addressed, is that we get charged as a town in tons, and we're trying to distinguish what gallons size we're using for carts. So to do that, you can't just assume a number. You have to actually do a conversion. And I had a look, and I got some guidance from some EPA documents out there on how much trash actually weighs, and then we can actually equate it from gallons to pounds. So on average, each gallon of household trash weighs 1.3 pounds. To keep that in perspective, a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds, gallon of concrete weighs 20 pounds. So it's a relatively light aggregate of materials. And so what would happen is now you take your gallons, your cart size per gallons, and you obviously multiply it by this factor of 1.3. And just to know that there's other numbers that are lower than that. Just for what you do for kind of a design, you'd always want to go with the higher number to give you probably a better number, so that, 1.3 pounds times 35 is 45 pounds. So 45 pounds is what would fit in a 35-gallon, not to say that it can't fit more, but it was what would fit in the 35-gallon cart. A 48-gallon cart, which was really never used in a municipal setting, but you can actually buy them if you went to Home Depot or something. And if we were going to go that route, we'd have to look at special order in them, but a 48-gallon would hold 62.4 gallons, a 64-gallon, 83 pounds, and then 96 gallons is 124 pounds. So that being said, on the next slide, you take the two charts, kind of condense them a little bit, and then kind of compare them to what they are. So you'd look at the cart sizes over here. Say you have a 35-gallon, it would be 45 pounds. So the homes that would actually be able to just fit those would be a one-person household and a two-person household would fit those. And a three-person household would fit 40 pounds, which would be very close to being full, actually 90% full. And then you go at four-person household, it does not fit anymore. You'd have to bump up to a 48 or a 64. And a very interesting piece of information that I found out while doing this analysis is that half the people that get trash service is actually a little more than half, but it's pretty much 50-50. Is 3,095 people live in three-person households or less, and 2,971 people live in four-person households or more. So the break is at 3 and 4 is where it's kind of in the middle, which is a good number to have, just so you know how many people are affected by any decision. So doing that whole analysis, I have some key findings, and I just kind of want to throw those out there and kind of explain them a little bit better than you've probably seen them on paper. But so the first finding, you see next slide. So, and I made a little graph here. So finding number one is for any household of 4 persons or more, a 35-gallon will be inefficient volume-wise. And that number would be, there would be 635 homes affected, 2,971 people, which is 48.9% of all the people who receive trash service will be affected and will, on average, will not have enough room. And I think that's a very key number. And you can see this graph here. Go to the next finding, number 2. And this one is kind of intuitive, but it kind of makes sense. So in addition of households of 3 persons, just a 3-person household, not 2 or 1, just 3 persons, which is 449 households, 1,347 people, which is 21.2%, which is the darker green, receive trash pickup. Their trash will be filled on average to 90%. So there will be no room for any extra if you're having a party or just if you had any extra that week. So just keep that in mind. At 3, it does fit, but it's still to 90%. And my last finding is kind of intuitive, but it kind of, our data shows that average trash disposal of each household is 31.7 gallons, which is half of the currently allowed 64-gallon limit by the town. And according to our trend in our 5-year data, the overall trash amount is likely to stay close to the same amount we have now. So basically what's saying is, you're going forward as you guys make this decision and we have to actually negotiate a contract, we know that what our tonnage is, and it doesn't seem like it'll increase. It hasn't increased in 5 years. So what's going to be more key to us is negotiating a better contract as the volumes we think will be consistent. So, and this is a good finding for us to have as we go forward. But these are the findings I found, and I don't know if you guys have any questions, or I can sit and you guys can discuss.
Does anybody in the board have any questions for Arthur?
Yes.
Not right now.
Not right now?
Reserved to
Does
later.
anybody in the public have a question for Arthur just regarding this? Yes.
We don't have a hand mic? We do have a hand mic.
Great. Elaine Tamizian Muse, 11 Cannon Hill Avenue. So this is my first meeting of this. This is quite interesting. My question is, and maybe you've dealt with this before, is if there was some educational component to assisting citizens regarding trash composting and recycling. Do we have any way of knowing how that might impact these numbers going forward?
You'd have to just run this analysis every years or so, and you're going to kind of compare back and forth of how good we are doing. And it's actually great to know this as our starting point, but it's actually a great thing to have, just to have in place. It's a great, to your point, going forward, anything that is done, whether it's cart size or different programs, we can relate it back to this.
Do you think that, I mean, I know we're looking at data, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Do you think that it would make any difference if, like you said, that they wouldn't fill the container, or some people would overfill the container? I
Yeah.
mean, my understanding is that if you have a larger family and you had more trash, or you had a party, I thought that was a good example, you could purchase, my understanding is either you could get another barrel or you could get paper bags.
Yeah, so this analysis is done strictly by the numbers. What this will tell you is that how many amount of people would probably have to do that.
Right.
So on average, because a lot of times what happens is everybody has their own personal a story on how they deal with trash at their homes, and it's great, everyone, but a lot of those stories are outliers, so that it's hard, you couldn't really design. If someone is giving out 100 pounds a week, we're not going to give them a bigger cart, or they put out very little. We can't just cater to them either. So I looked at it as an average, but this will give you a good idea of that if there is a smaller cart, then this amount of people potentially will have to figure out another way of getting rid of their
And
trash.
recycling is not,
I
that's
didn't.
a whole separate
Yeah, that's a whole
thing.
separate. I did not touch on recycling, but obviously recycling, in theory, the more you recycle, the less you'll throw away.
And
So
more you compost.
So it's all kind of related. But at this point, I just kind of dealt with the trash.
Thank you very much.
Yep. No problem.
Those numbers include recyclable,
No. This is just trash.
just straight
Yeah,
trash.
it's not anything to do with recycling numbers.
Can I ask why?
Because we were looking at trash carts and not recycling carts. That would be a similar analysis, but the town has already rolled out their 96-gallon carts. So I think that gives people adequate volume, I guess, for this.
I returned the cart because I'm an older person.
Yeah.
That cart, if it was filled, I'd be dragged down my driveway.
No, it's understandable. I mean, I know that.
You better bring
yeah.
in some good ideas.
Some towns do offer smaller cart options for older people too. So
But people will fall. So, all right.
yeah, we have one question over here.
What are you looking at right now for the trash cart? What's that?
I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that conversation. I know there's obviously 4 different sizes that the town can choose from, which is 3 different sizes: a 30, 35, a 64, and a 96. A 48 on paper exists, but no one really uses it. So if that was the case, we'd have to look into it. But those are the options that are out there.
Is there a like from, how much, I don't think they really need this. They need, can't hear you at home. Oh, at home, all right. Lucky them. Is there some kind of a figure, so much recycling? You know, if you have so much recycling, does that mean you might have so much trash or anything like that? Because I used 45-gallon ones. I have a couple of 45-gallon ones, and 2 bags fill the 45 right up. And so if you're going to go to 35, I just can't imagine that, not overflowing by a lot. And if you keep talking about it only 90%, that gives you a little bit of leeway.
But, yeah.
But, personally, I really don't know if the 35 is going to work for a lot of people. And I don't want to see trash down J.B. Little Road. You can't get to it because that's what's going to wind up.
Yeah, and I think that's not, I don't want to, I was trying to be kind of neutral on this and see just where the numbers lead us, and then have that decision made by the boards, the board and the selectmen, but, a select board too. But, yeah, the numbers do show that a certain percentage, more than half of the users will be impacted by smaller.
Right. Well, you just see half of 90 is 45. Just look at it that way. That
Oh, yeah.
you might have half as much in trash as you would in recycling if you recycle properly.
Yeah, and you know what? And recycling is the answer to a lot, because if you obviously, just in theory, the more you recycle, the less trash you're going to throw out. But there will be a limit where you can't recycle anymore, and
Right.
it's trash that you have to throw out. So and that's where kind of these numbers kind of came from.
Thank you.
Joe?
Dave, Salem Street. Has a similar study been done for other neighborhoods as well?
Oh no,
For like comparison, like is there a similar town with similar makeup that's had the similar assessment and see what they decided and lessons learned? they've had?
so I can't say that. And this is probably why I did this, because this was not done. This was not done or even recommended beforehand, and I don't know if it's groundbreaking or it's just logical that we did something like this, and a lot of towns don't do it. But what happens is, and it's an example I'm using, there's only three options. So, it's a 35 gallon, a 64 gallon, or a 95 gallon. So when the town goes to do something like this, they either opt for the small or the large. There's nothing in between. So I think this is probably a fundamental thing that a lot of towns do, but I'm not sure. I didn't see anything during my research. Yeah.
Hi, Bill Neal Park. I want to either correct you on something you just said or confirm. You said there was a limit on recycling. I don't believe there is. I believe it's exceeded.
I did not say that. I didn't talk about recycling. Currently is no limit, but there is.
On recycling, correct.
But there isn't. But the town has been giving out 96 gallon carts.
But
Carts.
if you can fill up two 96-gallon bins with recycle,
Currently, yes. If going forward in a new contract, I don't. I think there'll probably be a limit on it, just because everything becomes automated. They're gonna come by your house and they're gonna come take the two receptacles, and that's it. They won't come out with the cart if there's extra. Right? Is that correct? Going forward, using a 96 gallon, they would only pick up a 96 gallon. They're not gonna pick up any extra for recycling.
Determination has not been made, but that has been a discussion that we buy weekly of 195 gallon for each household.
Yeah.
96.
Yep.
96.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Joe Demore, 9 Church Lane. Big data, thank you.
Yeah.
So for half the households that do not have sufficient barrel space, if we go with the 35, I know it's their decision, but what precisely are the solutions? They buy bags, do you know
There's
how much they are, and how
There's the
does that
buying
work?
bags, obviously, we do that now. There's, some towns make you purchase a second, 35
Do you know what the
gallon.
cost is? Would have any?
I've seen numbers anywhere from $200 to $300 per year,
Okay.
Topsfield has a program that does that now.
Not yet.
There would have to be something, it would be something like that, we'd have to address that extra volume. And, yeah, one of them would be purchase another one. Now, the issue would become is how many do we have, and then we'd have to deliver them, and it'd be an administrative burden on having that program.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, we got two over here?
Thanks, Joe. Charlie Plummer, Evergreen Lane 10. Two questions. Maybe I'm just confused here. You're telling me we have the standard
Thank you.
tonnage that we've been doing all along. since it doesn't seem to be impacted by the size gallon-wise, why wouldn't we take the largest possible, or 64? People that fill it half, it's filled half. People that put more in that upper end, do it. We're still paying the same tonnage. You don't get charged by barrels.
And that's a valid point, and the kind of the data does show that we're not filling it, which is something we didn't know that in the beforehand. So, but it kind of gives people an extra option.
And then just one other question. We got 95-gallon recycled containers, which I don't know how they were paid for. I haven't found anything online that says how those were paid for. But now we're gonna, I just heard, go to bi-weekly pickups, not weekly pickups. Why would we ever do that?
Well,
If we're encouraging people to load up on recycling,
And that's-
and
and
the
that's-
trucks fill up before they even
Yeah,
do a
that's,
whole run.
I think that's something that's negotiated within the contract and what services are provided by the hauler that wins our
But
contract.
we write the RFP, right?
Yeah, and that could be a valid point. That's something we can talk about.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Greg LeBrecq, Baldwin Terrace. I'm kind of a visual person, and I'm pretty sure we have a 64 and a 35 in the next room.
You could
Why don't we bring them in? Just take a look at what we're
And
talking about here.
Yes, we can do that if someone wants to grab them both.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we did that. We did that at the previous meeting once before.
Matthew Guillory, Chestnut Street. On your graph, the cost of the tonnage is pretty much static for the first 2.5 years, and then it shoots up.
Yeah.
What is the reason for the increase, and do we expect it to keep the cost to keep increasing?
So what happens is, within our contract, it's called the tip and fee, and that's actually, the tip and fee is spelled out within the contract, so we know what's coming. So what happened was, in 2021, it was $83 per ton. But the way that they write it in, they do it almost exponentially, so that by the time we go to 2025, it's 95. And now the next year, it's gonna be 103. So, like our volume, like our quantity is staying the same, but their tip and fee, which is probably the most important number within that contract, it keeps increasing, so they're gonna be making more money. So what happens is by the time we get to negotiate this, us having the ability to negotiate a lower tipping fees is gonna be key to our budget. But it's a schedule of payments per year. Yes, so we have,
DJ.
Can we just do one point of correction?
No, not yet. This is the time to ask the questions
Yeah,
to
but
Martha.
Charlie-
Point of order or point of information.
It's
Whatever.
fine.
You don't want it.
We'll discuss it all later.
It's not.
We're not going to have a lot of back and forth. Go ahead, DJ.
DJ McNulty, Valley Farm Road. Arthur, thank you for the presentation. I just had a quick question based on because I know this is all data analysis.
yeah.
Your analysis is based on the volume inside of a 64-gallon or 35-gallon. It's not factoring in, I assume it's not factoring in the, I don't know if it's mass or whatever it is, just throwing a bag in there, because we all know if we throw a trash bag in there, you're not filling up every cubic inch inside of a barrel. So you can say so many pounds fit in 64 gallons, but that's if you just throw pure waste in there and a liquid in comparison to bags that take up different diameters.
Yeah, so it's definitely a theoretical number, but the number I used was generated from the EPA in one of their standard charts that they have for weights of different household materials, and it's probably the closest way you're gonna get it. Obviously, there's air gaps, there's different shapes, but that's the number, that's the industry standard number, that 1.3 pounds per gallon. That's how much trash weighs, and that's kind of if you look at it from a design standpoint, that's the only way you kind of can do it.
Yeah, thank you. And I know you're just here for the data stuff, and I know we'll have further conversation for public hearing and all that stuff for conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Mike Dempsey, Uptack Road. So, Arthur, it seems like what you're saying is that our trash volume appears to be staying about the same. But I think the warning flags that really concern me are that the trash tipping fee keeps going up. So if we don't change, if we keep the same, we can do very good, keep the same amount that we're throwing away, but our costs are going to continue to go up. And so what I'd like to know by anyone who thinks we should get bigger containers and not try to at least cut back a bit is how do we plan on paying for the increased cost, even if we keep the same amount of trash that we're throwing away?
Well, that's probably what the finance committee can, that's something. But the one thing that we do know is that it's a predictable amount within our contract, because within our hauling contract, it'll spell out the 5 years of tipping fees. Whether the town wants to have their own initiative where they can try to figure out a way to reduce our trash to offset that's might be a different conversation. But the data shows that it's kind of steady, and that the only thing that's really affecting our costs is not our volume, it's just the tipping fee. And that's what I kind of found out doing all this. Yeah.
Justin Hart, I live on School Street. On this, the cost, what's bothering me is, are you going to deal with the current company that is hauling trash, or are you looking to go around the area? Because I see different trash companies. Capital does in Haverhill, Mello does Georgetown, and I could almost, throw a baseball to Mello's.
Yeah.
From my house. I wonder, again, there's other companies out there. So are you looking at multiple companies, or are we looking at the same company?
No. We are definitely going to go out to a full-out RFP process where we're going to solicit kind of quotes from all these companies and not just kind of stick with one and see what's the best interest for the town. The problem is that every contractor does things a little bit differently, so we'd have to come in and weigh everything, weigh the pluses and minuses of each submission and figure out the best.
Well, nobody's done anything differently, I think, from the people in the town. I mean, I lived here long enough to go from open barrel containers up to 64-gallon containers. And every time I buy one, because it's the next requirement by the town, somebody says, well, we have to change.
Well,
let me just finish. Just like the recyclable bins that we probably have been using for 8 or 10 years, suddenly we all have a recyclable barrel.
Well, this is what's happening in the trash industry. There's no guy hanging off the back of the truck picking up trash anymore. Everything's going to be automated.
I understand that.
By creating something that's automated, by having an automated system, you need receptacles that can be picked up by that robot hand.
And I understand that. Yeah. And again, that doing it this way now automatically should be saving the company money. And
it will. I think
in retrospect, it should be saving the town's money.
And it will. I think when we start getting our bids in, I think it's going to be automated is less, because you have less drivers and it's faster. And so I think it's something that we expect it to be, the tipping fees to be less than what they are now.
And will you be coming back before the selectmen, or the selectmen coming back to the people to say, hey, this is the multiple type contracts we have, or the services that could be rendered? Or is this just going to be a cut and dried thing that in the end, one or two people make a decision?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can answer that question. It's definitely not going to be one or two persons. We'll vet the whole decision throughout all the necessary committees and select board. Is that correct? Yeah.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No. I mean,
that definitely is not a question that he would be answering. He's more about just the data. That'll be a question for us a little bit later on today.
Yeah. Like I said, I understand, your questions, but also my role in this is kind of just getting the data and presented it and having some starting point, which we did not have before. So.
Dick Hodges, 35 Union Street, just for 54 years. I was delighted to hear about the automation where a machine picks up and dumps the garbage into the truck. However, I find that the gentleman that's driving our truck, when he gets out, he has to adjust our recycling so that it fits into the mechanism, and so that he's out of the truck. I thought one of the selling points of this was the guys never had to get out of the truck.
Well, technically, at this point, from my understanding about with that trash is that we're still paying them a non-automation price, but they just happen to have an automated truck that they're using. Is that correct? Yes. So what they're doing now is trying to save themselves time, but going forward in our new contract, it'll be required that it'll be fully automated and they will not be getting out of the truck. And then their machine will be calibrated for the exact size that we give out to residents. That's what they.
Well, what was the cost of the 96 gallon container?
I couldn't tell you. That's not. I don't think it wasn't part of the this discussion.
We'll get to that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
This is just about the data here.
Okay.
On to what we're going to actually have a discussion about.
You're done. This gentleman would like.
Matthew Prokop, Highland Avenue. You said originally that the data did not count condos and commercial.
Yes.
Is there a reason why?
Well, they don't get trash pickup at all.
They don't get trash pickup at all.
So,
All right.
to get picked up at all. Yeah.
Okay. And the numbers are, I mean, you're saying they're flat, but they are trending upwards.
They are, but I mean.
And are there population numbers for each of those years? Like, is our population growing, decreasing?
It's increasing. We know that. So I mean, all that. I mean, it was a general statement, but we're not losing population, obviously, and people are having more kids. And I don't know. We have to look at birth and deaths, but it's not. There's not. I say it's flat, but it's not huge.
It's not a spike. I grant you that. I'm just saying that it is increasing. So in the next 5 years, it could theoretically be growing up.
It decreased in 2023 a little bit.
Yeah.
Now 2025 it went up.
Yeah.
So
The next question I have is, if we do decide to go to this 35-gallon container, I think we could all benefit with some strong education about what can be recycled, because I don't think people understand that you can't just throw cardboard of any kind in there. You can't throw plastic of any kind that's in there. We also don't know where this plastic is going. There's some evidence out there that it's not going anywhere but a landfill. And my own understanding is when a lot of recyclable material is contaminated with non-recyclable material, they just pitch the lot. So the whole lot goes into trash. Okay? So maybe some more education before we make this decision would be helpful. That's it.
They're doing now.
Yeah.
They collect your trash. I don't know if you noticed, but the automatic machine they have, they take both the garbage and the recyclables, and they're put into the same bin.
Right, for now.
It's a dual truck. It's a dual truck.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't, young lady. I stand out here and watch them. It was a dual truck when the driver had to get out. But it isn't anymore.
I have a question, and if this question can be answered, that's fine. If it needs to be answered later, that's fine. We all know that when there's an override request from any quarter, it's a firestorm in this town. Even dead people come to town meeting if there's an override request. So, if there is an answer to this question, what combination, 35 and 96 or 64 and 96, would be more prone to cause an override request over time, if there is an answer to that question?
Well, I think if you look at the data that was presented here by Arthur, I think the correct answer was neither. Our average is about 35 gallons across the board. What's presented here is the inconvenience for half the town members for having a 35-gallon.
Jason.
1 second.
Of course. Okay. Used to that.
Dave Greenbaum, Carlita Road, member of the committee. I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think those tipping fees are going to continue to increase. Regardless of what the tonnage is, that fee is going to go up, and the override would come with the 64. That would be my opinion. So take it for what it's worth. But I think if you continue to go on that route, an override is coming. Something has to change. And I think if you go to a 35, that would be the change. Take it for what it's worth.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you, Arthur, for your
I had a question.
presentation. You have to ask
Yeah, I
earlier.
did.
You can ask.
So, yes, go ahead.
It's not really a question, it's an observation. So the period that you have there, we're coming out of the pandemic, and I know from being on the board during the pandemic, our trash went through the ceiling, okay? So the fact that it looks high there, I think, is still the downside of the pandemic, really. So honestly, I mean, we could try going back like 10 years and probably get a better trend on the town, but rather than going back and digging up more tonnage, maybe look at the last couple of years and the trend there for tonnage increasing, because I'm not a big believer that the tonnage will stay level. Not with the current circumstances and all. And we saw that during the pandemic. The minute there's a blip and anything goes wrong, our tonnage went through the ceiling, and we were having difficulty with the budget, because it's really hard to budget for the unforeseen when it's tonnage. We know the curbside pickup. We know that. But tonnage also has other costs associated with it, that aren't just the tipping fee. So it's a lot more complicated than just that 5 years. And that's tough. So I think the more conversation is better, but I do think to say that we're going to stay level on tonnage is probably not a good observation, in my opinion.
Well, look, I can't predict the future. I only can look at what was done in the past 5 years and the data that we had. So, I mean, if more people are born and live in town, I guess it's going to go up.
But if we went back to the prior 5 years before the pandemic and just watch our trend there, that's probably a better indicator.
Okay.
Yes. Rock Tower, 107 School Street. I guess you said it's going to affect half the town. If that affects half, that's a big number. If half the town's going to be affected by it.
Well, that was one of my findings, and that's I mean, I can only say what the numbers tell me.
No, I understand that, but I mean, I find that appalling, that, half the town's going to be affected if you go one way, and half the town won't be affected. Or how about, going away that more of the town is part of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that 35 is just about the size of my trash can in the kitchen.
Really?
It's a big trash.
I throw a lot of stuff away.
Yes, you do.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, sure.
Where's he going? Oh, right past Stephanie. The moderator's taking over your meeting.
Yeah.
Make sure the mic's on.
I don't know.
Oh, green is on. You got me thinking when you said about the tonnage fees and things going up. For the area that you were looking at for tonnage fees, that was all negotiated time frame. It was after the bid of Hiltz ended, and we were negotiating with multi-billion-dollar international companies that do their own golf tournaments. So it wasn't out to bid or anything like that. These were just annually negotiated costs.
Yeah, it was the way that those they're handled is you get, well, you want to call them bids, but yeah, you get proposals from trash haulers, and yes.
Well, we were just using one. We were just negotiating with Waste Management the
Well,
whole
that was
thing.
that was
Okay.
There's just one difference that needs to be called out, is that the hauling cost is negotiated, and like we said, if you move to an automated system, that cost will come down to about $50,000 to $100,000 automatic off the top. The tipping fee is a little bit harder to negotiate and is pretty much the same in other communities, because it's how much the company has to pay in order to dispose of the actual cost. So the tipping fee, while negotiable, you're not going to find anyone that's really varying too much from what you're seeing in other communities, if not dead the same. We're in a committee, and all of the surrounding communities have relatively the same tipping fee unless it's a larger community.
Okay, I was just asking if the data point was based upon negotiation or bid, that's all. Okay, thanks.
Stephanie has a question, Joe, if you don't mind.
Stephanie, and I believe Rebecca at home has a question as well. But go ahead, Stephanie.
I'm Stephanie Bartelt. I'm on the Trash and Recycling Committee. I live on Chestnut Street. And I think there are 2 points that I would like to make also that are part of one overarching theme. And one is that Massachusetts sends 40% of its trash out of state. And one of those states, because it goes to multiple states, one of them is New Hampshire. And New Hampshire recently announced at the end of August that starting in January, they're going to be placing, this is just a start, a $3.50 per ton surcharge on all solid waste taken at any of the state's 6 active landfills or its waste-to-energy facilities. Our landfills are reaching capacity. We can't keep doing what we're doing. We can't keep making more trash and expecting it to go someplace. We have no place for it to go. So something has to change because we can't keep doing what we're doing. That's kind of my point. We're becoming the movie WALL-E, if any of you have seen it.
Rebecca, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question for Arthur. First, I want to thank you, Arthur, for putting this together. I know it was a lot of work. So the questions I had, so the analysis is based on the behavior of what households are currently disposing in their trash, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then does that household size, is in that analysis, that includes adults and children?
Yes, it's household size and it's. You know,
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there's small variations between that, but for the sake of the analysis,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
baby might put out 11 pounds of we know what a day. so.
Yeah. So what I did, I looked at your data and I looked at it from a different perspective. I used the data to focus on the households because I'm thinking households receive the trash cart and households are the ones that pay the property taxes. When I look at households, those within the 35 gallon would actually be 70.2% of households would fall within the 35 gallon range. Over the 35 gallon is 29.8%. So it's very different than your 50-50 split if we're looking at by household.
Yeah.
And then I also looked at the household size of 4. It's like 8.67 pounds, like it's on the cusp. If it was a behavior change, and I heard a couple of comments, about recycling better and tips what the town can do. If they were to lower it, that would bring everyone within the 35 gallon at 87.9% of the town would fall within a 35 gallon. I just was interested in your perspective of, I get the per person effect. I think that's really important, but the data tells a different story when you look at it per household.
And look, you can look at it either way. I tended to go with the per person because, it affects more people. That's instead of saying, I don't know if somebody walks around and says how many household it affects. That's why I kind of focus more. And when I initially did this, I thought households might have been the only thing we can talk about. But the more you think about it, if one person if people live in a single by themselves. There's only one resident in there, and that's why I kind of pulled it out to go two per person. But yeah, you can interpret it as you wish too. But like I said, that it's just at three person households is kind of the dividing line in town. That's what I kind of found out, that not in house sizes are smaller these days, so more people live in smaller households, per person households. But-
Any other questions for Arthur?
No, great job with the data.
All right.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Kathy?
Should we clap? We should clap. Everyone loves to clap.
Kathy, you wanted to clarify the overflow program?
Oh, you wanted me to? Why?
I thought that's one of the questions you had.
No, my question was just on the period of data that we looked at to show that tonnage isn't changing. I don't believe that. I think if we look back over 10 years, taking out the pandemic period, because that was such a fluke,
Okay.
our tonnage went through the ceiling. I was sitting on the board during that, and we went,
Now, a gentleman asked
through the
about the
ceiling.
cost of recycling carts. I believe it was, and that was something that went through town meeting. So now, I'd like to open it up for all you to ask us questions, or to explain your point of view about the trash barrels, what you think. Because, I mean, ultimately, that's what we're here for.
is that the
So
whole
listen to you.
presentation? That's not what was in my packet, Jason. Point of order here? Wasn't there a slide for, I don't know, what I saw in our packet was he was going to show them what the recommendation was, no?
Yeah, I think that's, probably just need to advance it a couple of slides.
He showed the findings. That was the last of what I had in my packet here.
That's not what I had.
Yeah, there was one more slide in the.
There was.
That wasn't our slide, that was for the Trash and Recycling Committee at the last meeting had provided you their recommendation. That was the recommendation that was provided.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't part of
That's
the
fine.
presentation.
Go ahead, DJ.
We good? Do we
We
have
good.
to open up for a public?
No.
Hearing? No, okay, good.
Very informal.
All right, cool.
Just say where you live, though.
Thank you. DJ McNulty, Valley Farm Road. First, I just want to say thank you to the Select Board and the Trash and Recycling Committee. I know you guys did a lot of work on it, and we're all volunteering our time here. So thank you. So I'm here tonight because I am here to represent a lot of the, I don't want to say young because I don't consider myself that young, but I hear 50 years. I see 50 years in town. I've been here 7 or 8, but I have a household of 5. I'm at the ball fields for lacrosse and field hockey and soccer and and I have a larger family. So I've been to a couple of the meetings looking at 35, 64 gallons. So I appreciate all the work you guys have put in. A couple things I wanted to mention were the town survey results, right? We had a town survey. I think we had a lot of good feedback from that. Looking at Arthur's data, it seemed like, and people had mentioned, we had 70% of the town are affected if you have 3 people based on the weight per tonnage or pounds per person. If you have 3 people in your household, 70% of the town would be affected if we went to 35, right? So it would typically, I would think, to me, now looking at that data, I'm like, all right, 64 seems obvious. But I'm here representing those families. I have my notes. I just wanted to, I think also with the town survey, looking at the limitations, majority of our town didn't realize that we were only allowed to have one 64-gallon barrel. There are a lot of times, even in my own neighborhood, that we have people that are putting out multiple 64-gallon barrels, and our trash, they're going to take it because it's waste management right now, right? They're going to take it because they're going to get paid for it. They're going to accept all the extra tonnage because no matter what we put out there. Now, sometimes they've, as of recently, I've seen some stickers on there, but previously they were taking everything, and that tonnage weight would go up because they're making the money on the extra tonnage. So I think if we go to just went to the 64, we would have that restriction, and I think that would be a knowledge thing as well. So it would be a little more sufficient. And then also, I think it was a family of 3 at 13.5 pounds is it puts 40.5. So if you have 3 people in your household, 35 doesn't cut it. So, and that was, like I said, it was 70% of the people would not meet that criteria. So that's why I just wanted food for thought for the board. I know you guys, the trash committee made their recommendation. Now it's up to the select board. This is just my opinion, and I know I sent a text message to a lot of people to get their thoughts, but just wanted to say my piece. So thank you, appreciate it.
We have a question from Emily online. Emily, your last name and address, please, and your question.
Emily McCarthy, 7 Star Road. I am a mother of now very newly 3 wonderful children, and I definitely thank Mr. McNulty for his regards. But I just wanted to ask if we could have the slides either shown to the members that are attending online. It seems like we're missing the presentation or the visual aspects of this presentation. And there would be a large value add if we were able to see the trash cans that are being displayed, as well as the data that is being discussed right now.
We'll turn the TV.
Could we just take a picture of them and put it on the corner of the
I
screen?
think the camera's.
That would work.
Yeah.
Or adding it in the chat. You could put it in the chat.
Well, we fixed that. Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
For Rebecca. When did we start enforcing the 64-gallon limit where they're tagging if you're over that? Do we know what month that was?
I don't recall the exact month. I can try and look it up, but it was this year. So
Yep.
I believe when we started the conversation a little bit more, I would say January, February timeframe, but I can look that up.
And it's been a slow transition.
It was also the, don't forget that churches were getting trash pickup.
Right.
Child care services were getting trash pickup. It's all those.
Yeah, and the reason I was asking that question was in Arthur's data, you can see in January that our tonnage per month dropped pretty significantly and seems to have stayed that way.
It's been difficult coordinating this, the 232s, and it was Waste Management that recommended this. So to find out that they were not, oh, great. This is,
Hey, now you can hide, Jason.
can we pose?
Are there others?
So while we're waiting on
Thank
that, one piece of information that wasn't on the chart is like the 35-gallon cart should fit about 3 of the kitchen-sized trash bags that most of us use, and that's about 45 pounds in the 35.
Pretty standard.
It surprisingly fits more than you think. Yeah. Excuse me?
Yes.
Is that's what I'm guessing. I'm
That's a
reading from
standard trash.
a 15 pounds, assuming 15 pounds per kitchen trash bag. If you assume a kitchen trash bag weighs 15 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just lifting wise. I actually took a trash bag and this is bad, right? Because I'm wondering about trash weight. And it was like maybe 2/3 full, the white trash. And it was about 8 pounds. So if you filled it all the way, 15 pounds makes sense to me. You know, it wasn't full, the trash bag. I mean, if you want to go home and fill a trash bag and you get on the scale, then you get on with the bag. So fun. These are the things you do when you're trying to figure this out. But honestly, it's really hard to translate gallons and pounds because what one person throws out can be very different from one household to another.
Yeah, that's why we talked about averages and
Right. And
most common and.
EPA has standard numbers.
right. And also, that's why in the study where we worked on data from towns that were already on either a 64 or a 35, and looking at those households, we felt it was a little bit more accurate measurement of what a household would put out for pounds. And it's not out of alignment with your estimate. It's not. What's different is, and I still feel like when you just divide the number of people in the town, we're talking about, really little people and really big people. And I still feel like household per household is what we need to tag to, and go from there,
Is there anybody else online that would like to say something?
I can't see them because he set that up.
Yeah. So another piece of fun information
Nobody spoke.
is that because of the closing landfills in the state, we're predicted to have all landfills closed in Massachusetts by the year 2030. The state has adopted a master plan and hopes to reduce trash tonnage by, I believe, 30% by 2030, which is why they're offering so many incentives. It's not just because, I mean, obviously, conservationists and other people really want us not to throw out trash, of course. But there's a very real, tangible reason in Massachusetts. The incinerators are operating at full capacity, and the landfills are going to close. And no town around here that I'm aware of is planning to open up a landfill. And neither are they planning to build us another incinerator. So, you know, the challenge becomes trying to manage this cost, which is going to escalate rapidly as more trash has to be shipped to other locations. That's going to become expensive. You know, our current tipping fee is based on the incinerator that we go to.
Absolutely. Joe?
Yep.
So this issue is very unusual because it's very significant, but it's an executive decision. It's not a decision that'll be made at town meeting. It's not going to be on the ballot. So I have two basic questions for the record. When will you vote on this matter? Because the authority to make a decision is vested squarely with you. And what is, for the record, what is the recommendation of the trash committee made to you?
You want to read that?
It was on a slide. Where's the slide?
It was not part of the slides. It was a recommendation that you provided 3 meetings ago that I put in the packet.
Oh, okay. Well, can you put it up on the thingy? I don't know. It's easier that way than to just read out loud and have everybody wondering what I'm reading from. And if they could see it at home, it would
I
probably
can't
be
get it on the projector screen, but I can get it on.
And can they see that if they're at home at that point?
Yes, if
Abby?
it goes on the TV.
Oh, that's good. Huh, the TV, oh, I get it, yeah, we got 2 things.
Go ahead, Adam.
Go ahead.
While we wait.
Yep.
Adam Haywood, 15 Abbott Street. Arthur, thank you for that. The info, it's very, very helpful. The one thing I just kind of want to bring up, and you guys know how I feel about it, I'm not going to waste everybody's time going through it again. But we're talking about cutting a service to the town, and not one time has a dollar amount been fixed to it. And to make that decision without a dollar amount, what's it going to cost with 35 gallon? What's it going to cost with 64? We're saving money with the automated pickup. Cool. Like that. I feel like we're forced to go that way, but what is the actual cost savings in cutting services to 70% of households, or 70% of the people, or whatever it works out to? And I ask you to keep that in mind while you make that decision. And then the other point that I'll just bring up real quick is, we've got a fair amount of households that are 1, 2, and 3 person. Those aren't going to stay like that forever. Those are going to grow and expand, one would imagine, as the older population moves on, younger family moves in. Now it's a 5, 6 person household.
Oh, we're moving on, huh?
But again, let's make no mistake about this. We are cutting a service from the town.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
Good evening. My name is Alyssa Lee. I live on Georgia Street. Just confirming that my views here are me as a resident of Groveland and no other. Just real quick to Adam's point, that the population by 2050 will probably be larger, 60 plus people here. So just something to put out there. So I wanted to echo the point that Stephanie made, just to have another voice in the conversation that, I'm a fairly new resident to Groveland, been here about 3 years. I am a family of 4, 2 young, growing teenage boys. And as everyone in here, and as Kathy has mentioned, we all have different input into our garbage and recycling. I fill that 64 gallon every single week that we've had it. I put maybe 1 bag of garbage. That's me and my family, and that's how it works. And I know there are others just like me, and I know there are others completely opposite of me. But what I have a problem with is people saying it's going to affect X% of people. it's going to affect 100% of the people. And by 100%, as Stephanie mentioned, we just do not have the space and room for garbage. And so Groveland, one of the things that drove my family here is the sense of community that everybody talks about, the pride that you have about living here, that you want this better world, not only for today, but for your children and grandchildren. So if you do believe that, then you have to make a change. And yes, change is incredibly hard, but it's got to happen.
Yes,
and so I would just mention that to you. So, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Give everybody a clap.
Greg?
So my question again is, when will you make the decision, and what is the recommendation of the trash committee? Just for the record, please. Thank you.
Oh, it's over there now, right? Oh, so now Greg's going to speak. No, Greg, please speak. We need to hear. No, go ahead. Go ahead, it's fine. It's fine.
Go right ahead.
Okay, well, I have to find it on my slide, on my thing now, of course.
Want me to go, or
Yeah, go ahead while I find it on my thing. Thank you, though. I appreciate your.
Greg LeBrecq, Baldwin Terrace. Like many of you, I've been in this town for quite a while, and we all know that trash is a subject of great concern to everybody and has been for decades. I look at the two containers, and I understand both parties' concerns, but I'm also a financial person, and I look at flexibility. Once you go 35, that 1 week you have an extra bag, that's a no-go, but you can always fill that 64 with 1 bag or 2 bags because the cost of picking it up is the same. It's the tonnage you're worried about. That's an educational thing, as people have said. That's a personal choice some people have. Some people love to recycle. I see the Black Earth things. Some people want no part of that because of the animals and things. It's personal preference. But at 64, at least you have the flexibility. Then we talked about, someone mentioned an override. Well, what a lot of people don't know is we've had 3 overrides for trash in this town. We had one for $188,000 in '92. We had one for $157,000 in 2001, and one for $108,000 in 2003. Those are built into your tax base automatically, and they grow at 2.5% a year. The value of just those 3 overrides is $917,000. There was a base when the first override was passed, and if you include that, in the revenue stream to this town, specifically for trash, that people raised their taxes for willingly at a voting booth, not just town meeting, is $1.1 million. The budget this year for trash at town meeting was $886,000. We shouldn't be looking for trash money anywhere. We should be fine, especially if we renegotiate and all that fun stuff. We should be fine going forward for quite some time. And the last point I'll make is, over the years, we've only gone out to sealed bid once for trash. That was successful enough that at the time we went out to bid, the value of what we were paying for trash that year didn't catch up to what the new bid was for 6 years. Negotiating with big corporations is not in your best interest. Do an RFP with a sealed bid for automatic pickup. If you do recycling, that thing's big enough. You could probably do every other week to save a little money, and 1 barrel thing, and just go forward and see what you get. The only determination I guess you're going to have to make is for the accessory dwelling unit properties and the ones with in-laws. But I really encourage you to not negotiate with these guys. They're good at it. This is what they do for a living. Just do a sealed bid. If you don't like what they are, you don't have to accept them. Thank you.
Good evening. David Greenbaum, Carlita Road, and a member of the committee. I'd just like to point out a couple of things. As a member of the committee, when I joined, the conversation was really around 100% pay-as-you-throw. So that means everything that we would throw away, we would pay for. We would purchase every bag, and we would pay for it. The committee spent a lot of time, 2 years, coming up with a proposal, a recommendation to the select board that we would thought would balance the needs of the residents and the financial needs of the community so that we weren't, this contract wasn't bankrupting the town. It provides an opportunity for those residents that need additional trash disposal at an additional 35-gallon container at a cost. Because if I don't need that, why should I pay for that? It also provides you, at a 64-gallon, if you take the additional 35, you get an additional 6 gallons. You get 70 gallons worth of trash. You also have unlimited overflow bags that you can still purchase and throw away. So it's not a reduction in the amount of trash you can throw away. It just means that if you're going to have that additional trash above and beyond the 35, you're incurring the cost to offset the cost of this contract. I think that, it took a lot of time and effort to come up with this proposal. It wasn't done willy-nilly overnight. And I think that it definitely balances the needs of the residents and the town financially. This is your decision, as was mentioned. It rests with you, and you have to make that decision, whatever the financial best interest of this town is. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
No, you don't want me to read it?
Go ahead.
I thought you were going to have me read the recommendation, no?
Yes, hi. My name is Rich Hogan, 39 Rollins Street, and trying to talk for probably the younger crowd of Groveland, trying to do as much as I can for them. For the most part, been here since 2016, and I had purchased even larger trash cans, like 96-gallon ones, and they had been being used for the most part because my wife and I bought our house together with our friends. So we have already 4 adults, and we have 2 kids on one side, 2 kids on the other. We have a dog, 2 cats on one side, and 3 cats on one other side. The weight from, I'm trying to figure out everything every Thursday morning. I'm using one of the 8x8 tampers, jamming it down in one 96-gallon trash can because that's what they got. I've been filling the 96-gallon recycling bin every week, and now finding out that we're going to be going to biweekly. And yet again, I'm a transplant from Lynn, and we went to automation, and automation sucked. It really sucked. For the most part, they did keep 64, and they had 96, and with a biweekly setup. Now, biweekly setup for recycling is a very bad idea. Now, I say that because of the fact that I'm having to do a lot of stuff. I'm trying to do the best I possibly can with reducing everything, and I'm trying to teach my kids recycling. I took what you guys actually posted on the website, posted it right on the wall, right by the trash can. I said, kids, if you see something like that, don't throw it in the trash can, throw it in recycling. And I even last week, when Thursday came along, the 96 was filled all the way, and I still filled 2 more of those bins that was provided by the town previously. So I'm doing everything I possibly can to reduce my trash, but with that said, there's not a lot that's going on in helping the process with doing that, especially because I got a 7 and a 5-year-old for kids. So it's just going to keep going up in my opinion. And then from time to time, I do hold the parties. And I've been doing my best to purchase the purple trash bags. Now, with the automation going into play, they're not supposed to, allegedly, get out of the vehicle if we're using the purple trash bags and putting them on top of the actual thing. Will they be getting out of the vehicle? Will we be getting charged for that?
No.
What's the deal?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Dave Sealing from Salem Street. Just a question. So, family of 5. I do kind of want the 64 if possible, but that's just my own opinion. What would you, if you do go with the 35, what would you say, what would make you say, oh, I regretted going with that decision? Because obviously you have the incentives to say, I want to kind of go with the 35, but what what point, if you guys do vote for the 35, would you say, I've regretted my decision on that? Like, what type of aspect would you look on that to make that
I have a
decision?
response.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, since I'm on the committee making the recommendation, yeah, we've gone through pros and cons and pros and cons, and the thing that pops in my head is the toughest part of it is the logistics of it, because we have small staffing. We're counting on some really super town workers to help figure out, get out there and find out who wants 2 bins, who wants 1 bin, and then logistically get them to the proper, we'd have to get them to the proper households. With the understanding that should you change your mind, then you'd be able to opt out, because we were going for flexibility as we looked at the proposal, which is up there now. So the idea was not to take away a service and not to get into all the stuff we've already done, but the point that Adam made that we have not shown a cost savings, that's not true. We've done that on a prior presentation at the thing we had here. We had the 10-year savings of expectations calculated out. So that's been done. To the point of, well, what if we just run overrides whenever we don't have enough money? Anyone who's lived in town as long as I have, which is, about 35 years, knows that overrides don't always pass. We've had overrides for trash fail, and we continue trash service. So that doesn't make it a viable override candidate, because if it fails, we're still going to pick up your trash. We have to. It's a health concern. So the point of our recommendation was trying to find something that was flexible enough that would provide more than enough capacity initially based on what Arthur has shown, what we already knew was going on in this town. We already know this. We've been studying it for 2 years. We know people are throwing out more than 64 gallons of trash. We understand that. And we're trying to come up with a proposal that will be fair to everybody while guiding the town towards the state master plan, which is saying we've got to try to redirect trash to other areas. Not an easy thing at all, especially if you have multiple members in a household. What are you going to do? Run around and grab stuff out of their hands? And, it's difficult. It takes time, and that's why the proposal was not to just limit anybody to 35 gallons. We recognize that initially, even people who maybe don't need more might ask for more to be on the safer side. We don't want to cause hardship. But we did spend 2 years on it. As far as automated pickup, this is not a negotiable item. The industry, the hauling industry, is driving this wagon. It's a liability for them and for their workers to be lifting barrels that they don't know what's in it, right, and how much it weighs. So from their perspective, it's Waste Management and the other ones are driving that. They're not going to bid on a contract that is not automated. Okay, so we're not going to get competitive bids if we don't change to the automated system, okay? And you can't just use your own barrel, because even though it might be as good, we have to show whoever is bidding on this that we are definitely a standardized carts that are produced for these arms to pick up that can be lifted automatically. That's the industry. That's where it's going.
So no regrets?
Yeah, no regrets. We
Okay.
have to go there.
Steve, do you mind if
So I was just going to finish the proposal.
Let me
Okay.
I might have said my question wrong. I meant, like, what indicators are you looking for once you've gone 35 to say, oh, we've made a mistake? Sorry if my question didn't come across.
Okay, but I was trying to read the recommendation because somebody had asked what it was. But
Can I answer that question?
No, I'm not done yet. I've been waiting to get through this 5 times. So, we also recommended that we continue as a town to promote and support curbside composting. I know it's not everybody's thing. We do have startup kits that are free of charge, but then you do have to pay a monthly fee right now. We're not able to subsidize that yet. Hoping that the state will come forward with that. We also are recommending, and the town feels that they can do this, to provide an additional drop-off location for excess cardboard, because it seems to us from observations, driving around town, looking at the makeup of our recycling, a lot of cardboard. So if you're running out of space before the pickup, we would have a centralized drop-off for cardboard. Any other suggestions that people feel we could accommodate? We're more than open to that. There's all kinds of good ideas there about metal drop-off and this and that. We just haven't had the time to get into all that. We've got the cardboard extra drop-off. The composting setup kits are free of charge, available to residents, but you do pay a monthly fee to have it picked up. And trash capacity, we're still recommending the overflow bags and still recommending the additional 35-gallon cart for anyone that needs it. And to your point, I forget where he went, the downside of the 35 is in my mind, the logistics of it. The logistics of, the movement of carts back and forth. Somebody moves in. How many carts do they want? Now it's not just one cart. The cart's supposed to stay with the house, right? So if it's 2 carts and they don't want 2 carts, we got to get the cart out of there and reset. So there's some logistics, and we have small staffing, as you can see. Arthur's the department head of how many? 4, 5 workers? 4, 5. I think it's 5. 4, 7? Not 8. We don't have 8. Yeah, we're very small. Compared to bigger towns, we are so small. We have one-person offices in here in some cases. So when we say, can you do this extra work, it's difficult for our workers. They have to say, they never say no, but it can become difficult. So if you think about one thing that could go wrong is the logistics of that, having double carts for trash out there coming back and forth. Yeah.
You done?
Yep, I am. Thank you.
Steve?
So the question that you asked was, what would make you regret it? And it's actually something that I've spent a fair bit of time thinking about because, basically what could go wrong, right? And I think that the issue for me is looking forward a year or 2 years from now and saying, we're going into this without a plan B. If we go with 35 and, residents are frustrated, you guys are calling town hall saying this isn't working for us, there is no other option. So seeing ourselves in that situation is one thing. And then kind of looking through some of the data today and saying, we're going to impact potentially 70% of the residents around there, but we don't really understand what our cost savings are going to be. And if those cost savings don't come together, I would regret making that decision. So hopefully that answers your question directly.
Go right ahead. Gentleman waiting.
Hi, Bill O'Neill, Elm Park. I've actually been a part of the trash committee, and my main representation here is strictly financial. I've sat in the FinCom for I don't know how many years. I think I have more collective years than all the members of the board have collectively. I understand everyone's frustration. We started out 3 years ago with a goal. How do we control a cost that is unsustainable and provide the citizens with the service that they've been accustomed to? There are only 2 one-size-fits-all solutions, folks. One is the fairest way to go, which is pay as you go. You want to keep the heat up in your home to 84 degrees in the wintertime? You pay the bill. I keep it at 50, I pay my bill. It's a lot lower. That's fair and equitable. We didn't think that was a very fair way to go. So we searched and searched and searched for a compromise. So what's the other one-size-fits solution that's allowed you to throw as much as you want? Well, that's fiscally irresponsible. I think everybody agree with us. So we came up with a compromise, a 35-gallon container. Now I know a lot of people, you've talked about the size of your home. I have 4 children. I have 5 grandchildren. Most of them spend most of their time with me. I have larger families than anyone on this board. I've been here for 26 years. There are times, mostly during holidays, birthdays, where I will exceed 1 32-gallon trash. Other than that, we can get by with just 1. It can be done. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's going to be a smooth transition. But I'm telling you, it can be done from a family of my size. It can be done. To the gentleman's point, Arthur, his data proved that less than 50% of the people will be impacted. I think the woman online proved that 75% of the households can adequately deal with the 35-gallon. Now, one thing that hasn't been talked about a lot of it, and taxes. I get it. I pay them too, right? So I'm in the same boat as you, right? So what we can't really determine completely at this point in time is how much we will save. But Adam makes a strong point to this argument. Some of these 1- and 2-family homes are going to be replaced with 3 and 4. You think the tonnage is going to go down? I don't think so. It's going to go up, right? When it goes up, does our cost go down? It's going to go up. So the big factor is, to Arthur's point, when we negotiate the next 5-year contract, and let's be realistic, this is going to be 5 years. You're going to be stuck with it for 5 years. The decisions you make, the decision the board makes, everyone will have to live with it for 5 years. So what I've done from a financial point of view, with the help of our town assistant, is I've taken the numbers and thrown them out 5 years. That's what I do for a living. And I looked at what our revenues are going to be 5 years from now and how that would impact our expenses. And here's what I used. I used an increase of 5% on insurance. Pretty laughable, right? Nobody is going to get a 5% increase in our insurance. I'm pretty sure I was 11% last year. But I used that just to be conservative and threw that out 5 years. I used the school. I used the last 5-year percentage growth, which was 4.56%. If you think that's realistic, I got a bridge in New York I want to sell you. Trash, I used a 5% increase year over year over year from where we currently now are. Now, I'd like to make another point. When I sat on this board several years ago, I tried to bring this to their attention and to your attention, because I pay the bills where I work. I could see where this is going, and I tried to warn people, we need to get ahead of this now, because this is uncontrollable. And in a line item budget with 100, 120, 130 line items, this is one of the few line items, folks, that we really have the power to impact. And if we don't get it right, we blow it for 5 years. So again, I'm going to show you what these numbers would do doing nothing. If we do absolutely nothing, and I didn't increase many line items, I left them straight flat line for the next 5 years. Your budget deficit in year 1 will be $99,000. In year 3, that escalates to $368,000. By year 4, you're looking at a $592,000 budget deficit. And by year 5, you're looking at nearly $900,000 whole in the budget.
Is that just the trash, or you're talking the whole town budget?
I'm talking the whole town budget.
Thank you.
Okay, and these are very, very, very conservative numbers. I'll be happy to share them with you, with anyone. I went line item by line item by line item by line item. These are real numbers, and they're probably small. Years ago, that line item was less than $400,000, and to Mr. LeBrec's point, it exceeded $850,000 last year. At its current level of growth, in fiscal year 30-31, that line item will exceed $1.2 million. That is a budget buster, folks. That is something we cannot afford. So to another person's point, today it will affect possibly 50% of the residents in this town. If we do not take control of that now, I promise you, it will affect 100% of the people 2, 3, 4, and 5 years down the road. Because this can will only continue to get bigger. You can keep kicking it down the road, folks, but it ain't going away. It's only going to get bigger. The problem is only going to exacerbate. And to bring a override for trash, to me, that is one of the most fiscally irresponsible things that we could do to our citizens. We have to be better. We have to be better. There isn't a lot of room in this budget. I got to tell you, folks, $26, I think, was a margin we had between revenue and expenses. That's it. I don't have $26 in my pocket. Probably most of you don't either. This is how tight we are. And I get it. I pay taxes too. And I don't want to pay more taxes. But if we don't do something today, if we don't take action today, we will all pay more. That's a promise. That's not fear-mongering. That is a promise. We will all pay more. We will all suffer. The decisions you make today are not going to be easy ones. You're not elected to make easy decisions. A lot of decisions you're going to make are very difficult. They affect a lot of people's lives. But I implore you, the decisions you make need to be fiscally responsible, and you need to take into consideration the entire town, not just what your personal opinions are. This isn't about one person. This isn't about one family. This is about the fiscal stability of the town going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Hi, Don Graney. Based on what everyone else has said in the room, the facts on Arthur's investigation, it looks like the fiscal responsibility would be the 64-gallon based on everybody in town. Or, if you wanted to do it based on his calculations, a 2-household family, give them 135. If it's 6, give them 3 of them. You know, you can't just squeeze everybody to make them think they can all do the same thing as a 2 people in a family. So if you're going to start somewhere, I would think you'd start at the 64. On my way here, I saw a house that I know there's only 2 people in, with 2 of those out there and the 95-gallon container. So the obvious is people have trash, and that's not going to handle what the majority of the people have. And it's nothing against the committee doing what they did.
I am back. Justin Hart from School Street. I honestly, I will tell you, I lived here 40-plus years, okay? I've gone from the little barrels, little round ones, okay, that was unlimited, to eventually where we are now. And I have my grandson and his family living with me. There is no way, I can't put my younger great-grandson into that 35-gallon barrel, okay? He wouldn't fit. So we have to stop kidding ourselves, number one. The town is growing, and families grow. They can't put everything into a 35-gallon barrel. We might all think it's a myth. If you go with the larger one, you can always go down. But if you go with the small one, you're stuck with it. So, again, from my perspective, because of my family and the people I have with me, even the 1 barrel is not enough, but I make my grandson stick everything in it he can. And that's what you have to look at everybody in the town, whether we're 25 starting a family or you're 80 years old like me with a family that's gone. Yeah. You gentlemen up there, you have to make this decision. But everybody, from what I see, the 64-gallon, if we're going to have to vote on one, which we aren't because it's up to you 3, each of you, decide which barrel you want to use. How much trash will you have? How much trash will you have, and how much trash will you have? And how much can you fit into the 35-gallon barrel? It's as simple as that. It's the common sense solution. The figures all sound fine, okay, whether they're small or large, but it's the common sense solution that everybody needs.
May I ask him a question? Is
Yes,
that all right?
ask.
Thank you. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
No. Go right ahead.
I was like, okay. I hear what you're saying, and I'm just curious, because towns around have gone both directions, right? So I keep talking to their town administrators, saying, why'd you go to 64s, and why'd you go to 35s, and then I hear from you. So the ones that went to 64, then the fee, everybody pays the same fee as a way of helping support the trash program for the next 5 years, to protect it. Is that something that you would consider fair and equitable?
Fair and equitable for?
The 64, that everybody gets a
Well, I would think it would.
that would be contributed towards making sure that our trash budget is able to be paid within we're constrained to 2.5% on the town budget. And this is a budget buster right now. Boom, that's our problem. So assuming from what you're saying that it's just too difficult to go down to 35 or even to
It's
have.
impossible.
Or to have two.
It's impossible for,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's
Go
all
ahead.
right. No. You care. I like to hear from people that care. So under the first proposal, the idea was if you got the second cart, then you would pay the fee. But the people that just had one cart would not pay a fee. But towns that have gone to just everybody getting the same, then everybody got the same fee.
I think,
of that?
honestly, from my point of view, I would go with the 64 gallon.
And
Actually, I mean, I don't think listen, I pay fees. My taxes have never gone down. That's amazing in this town. Never.
Never
40
gone
years
down.
have my taxes gone down.
Really?
And I'm shocked at that. We have to take a common sense approach.
Yeah.
You can't expect the family, the gentleman back here, between his duplex, that there's 8 people, if I added it right. You can't expect 8 people to put everything they have for trash in a week in a 35-gallon barrel.
But
That's absurd.
if he's a duplex, he should be 2 households.
Well, that's fine. It's 2 35-gallon barrels.
Well, or 2 64s, yeah.
Oh, But I mean, you have to look at the practicality of it.
Okay.
You have to look at the practicality of it.
Okay, so.
Yes.
Yes,
Where my home is,
yes.
the people to my left have at least 2 barrels out.
Yep.
People beyond that have 2 barrels out. People to my right have 2 barrels out. Across the street, I look on Wednesday morning and it's barrel day.
Yes.
Okay?
So my question then again is, so if you were to say everybody gets 64 for 5 years, we'd wait to see if the data transcends down to the smaller card. Is that what you're saying?
That would be the logical way to
And then
approach it.
again, if everybody's getting the same cart,
If everybody's staying at the 64 level, then you stay with the 64
right,
level.
and at the same fee for everybody, annual fee to help support the trash, because we don't want to have to come back and say we can't fund the trash and the curbside pickup program. That's the point of the fee.
If I'm not mistaken here, I believe someone said earlier that there was $800,000, and I'm using a round figure. That was a surplus based on negotiations that were done 20 years ago.
No, there's not.
No?
There's not.
No. But what I'm getting at, what I'm getting at is,
Yes,
in this town, okay, there are taxes, and our taxes always go up.
yes.
Okay? They don't go down. So if you're expecting the people in the town to buckle up a little more, are our taxes going to go down if we go to the 35-gallon barrel? No, because taxes will still go up. So if I'm going to pay more, okay, on my taxes, I want to have at least the accessibility to get rid of my trash.
Okay. So that would be a fee for everybody then, to help.
Well, you're
support-
talking about adding a fee on?
Yes, that's what other towns have done that went to 64.
No, I wouldn't be in favor of adding a fee on, because everybody's paying, again, this is all coming out of tax money, or should be, in the town, Kathleen.
Well, this is.
What you want to do is have a surtax. You want to have another tax on top of a tax.
Well, it's not a surtax. Understand, it is a user fee on trash, and what's happening is because trash is a budget buster, because it's going up. Right now, trash occupies about 20% of our discretionary budget. And discretionary budget means budget that we have actual control over. So that would be just our town departments. We don't have control over the school assessment because 2 towns can vote it and we have to pay it. And then once every 5 years, we have control over $1 million budget. Okay? Just one time. So we have one shot to get this right. And I personally don't want to have to come back and say that we thought it could work, but unfortunately the budget won't balance. We need an override because the trash went up 8% instead of 5%. Okay, yes, there's a savings that's going to happen because the curbside pickup should be less when it's automated. Sure. And some will say, well, let's give that back to trash. Well, let's take a minute and think here. We've been budgeting up to the maximum levy. We're one of the few towns that are almost at 100% of our allowable levy. It's very tight, very tight. So trash has been going up and up. It started 10 years ago, it was only about 10% of the discretionary money that we have. Now it's 20%. So, sitting on this board, I have to look at all the departments and all the towns, and I understand that trash has been grabbing bigger increases than our town departments. Our town departments do a phenomenal job of bringing in a budget that's usually less than 3% increase. They're phenomenal that way. If they need more money in one line, they juggle the other. I don't know how they do it every year after year, and I'm so thankful that they do it, because every other cost that we don't have control over, which is the school budgets, the insurance budget, the assessment for Essex County retirement, they're all going up more than 2.5%. And this budget has been eating up more and more discretionary. So when that money frees up, I don't think it belongs back to that. I think it belongs back to the town departments that have been holding the line at 2.5%. I mean, because otherwise we're going to be back in the position of telling our own employees, sorry, 1% raise this year, sorry, no raise this year. This has happened in Groveland. It's happened, and it's not fair, and it's not equitable. And this budget, we know it's going to go up more than 2.5%. So to say that we can just coast for 5 years, put our blinders on and wait, and then decide that there's a problem, I think is just not smart. I hear you on the cart size. To me, cart size, we recommend one thing, but cart size is the least of our problems here.
Then I'd recommend,
one.
then I'd recommend that you look at a shorter-term contract than looking at a 5-year contract.
I don't know that that's feasible, but our town administrator would advise.
Most unions deal with a 3 or 4 year contract.
Not on trash.
I'm sorry?
Not in the trash
I-
area.
yes.
Yeah, we seem to see mainly 5-year is what we've seen. But any suggestion you make will not fall on deaf ears.
Well,
Look at everything.
that's what I would suggest. And again, a sealed bid. I mean, you have, or at least as a selectman, you have your proposals that you want to put out there
Yes,
for this contract.
right.
Put it out as a sealed bid. See who's going to respond. And versus doing open negotiations. I've done negotiations with
Right.
management, and it never works out well.
Can I just say that, and I'm not the person that's in charge of negotiations, and I'm not a trained negotiator, but I have spent 2 years studying trash and best practices, and I'm fairly soaked with it. And one of the documents that we reviewed and then reviewed other contracts strongly, strongly recommends that you go for the request for proposal route, because in these trash contracts, there's always these other hidden charges that come out. So if you do the bid and you have to accept it, all of a sudden there's another fee for this, another fee for that. And we have that in our current contract, which has made us not, when you compare what we're paying now to another town, we're paying more right now. Beginning of the contract, it wasn't like that, but right now, we're paying more. So we want to make sure that the language that we have seen in some of the bid contracts doesn't creep into our contract. First of all, we want to have something to go to if the service is not as expected. If there's a strike or they don't pick up the trash, we want to have penalty clauses that count, that we can do something about.
You would do
We don't
those-
want to have hidden costs that suddenly crop up the minute they have to drive it to New Hampshire, that we're paying another some 10% on top of what we are already paying. So request for proposal means that we specify the scope of services.
Right.
And then we get to look at what they're offering.
Right, but I
And
would
there
do
is
it, I would do it as
discussion.
a sealed
It's not, I
negotiation.
don't think it's sealed, but I'm not the negotiator. That
No,
would-
I'm just recommending.
Yep.
That's what I would do. I
We
would
are-
not do it as an open negotiation, especially if you're not a good negotiator. And I
That's-
mean
I'm
nothing.
not doing-
No, I mean nothing against anybody here. But if you haven't negotiated with the
Yeah.
other side, or have never done it, for a professional, from a professional point of
Right.
view, you know, you're out of your league.
We do have a professional negotiator. We're good on that. And I guess it's not like a free-for-all. There won't be everybody in one room.
No, there
There'll
shouldn't
be, you know, a scope of specific services, and then the ability to ask a question and discuss to make sure there's nothing hidden in this contract that we don't know about.
Right.
Yeah.
But that would be, again, in the sealed bid proposal that you put out. You would lay out what you are expecting.
I'm not the negotiator, but
No,
I'm
I'm not
going
saying
by.
you're not yet.
Yes,
I'm
thank
just,
you.
I'm saying that in general.
Thank you.
Whomever will. I
Yes.
think there's other people that want.
Yep.
Yes, before
Thank
you
you
get-
very,
but There's somebody online that wants to speak.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Talking to the gentleman behind you.
Oh,
Before he takes the mic, somebody online that wants to speak. Greg?
oh, online? Inline? Where?
Yes, hi, thank you very much. This is Greg LaBelle from 16 Round Street. As my neighbor had mentioned earlier, it's a similar situation. We're a large household. We actually have an in-law apartment. So there's 4 adults and 3 children in this house, and we do all we can every week to get all our trash into a 64 gallon, which is, it's a minor miracle, to be honest with you. The 96 gallon recycle bin that we received, we fill that and then some. So I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, that the recycling will go to bi-weekly and it will be limited to that 96 gallon?
We don't know that.
Was that the recommendation to the select?
To be determined?
Maybe you need to review the recommendation.
I did that already, didn't I?
You just put it up there and I can't read it. We can't read it.
I thought I read it. Didn't I read it?
No, not yet.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, nothing on the recycling specifically, I did hear. I heard.
Financial prudence, residential needs, environmental respect.
Recommendation from Trash and Recycle Committee as voted on Thursday, July 31st, 2025. In order to balance the goals of financial prudence, residential needs, and environmental responsibility, the Trash and Recycling Committee recommends the following. The town purchase a trash contract with automated pickup. 2, the town provides each household with one 96-gallon recycle cart and one 35-gallon trash cart. The Trash Recycle Committee understands that some residents will need additional trash capacity and recommends that households will be allowed to continue to purchase overflow trash bags as needed and/or pay an annual fee of about $175 per year to have a second 35-gallon trash cart. 4, the Trash and Recycle Committee recommends the town continue to promote and support curbside composting with all means available, including the current grant for starter kits and use of future funds to subsidize composting efforts. And 5, the Trash and Recycle Committee recommends that the town provide additional drop-off locations for cardboard recycling. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you for reiterating that. I did see the slide earlier. So are we saying with recycling, regards to recycling, if you would exceed the 96-gallon cart, which will be picked up now every other week, cardboard would be the only?
Well, possible.
Could I just clear that up a little bit?
Please.
Okay. I keep hearing that we're saying we're going to every other week recycling. We are not saying that. We don't know that. We don't know
Okay.
that. That's going to be a negotiation with the contract, for the new contract. So there's, right now, you can still put out as much recycling as you want, because in the current contract, we're allowed to put out as much recycling as we want.
Yes.
So nothing has
Which we do.
changed as of now. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
There's not an RFP criteria that we are going to put out to bid that says the town of Groveland wants.
Not yet, not yet. No, not
So
yet.
how can we ask make a decision if that hasn't been determined.
Because that's the decision they have to make.
They need to know,
they need to know what size cars they're gonna
put in the RFP.
Okay, so you know what size car. Does that mean everything else is solved?
No.
No.
This is the public forum.
And I guess from my standpoint, my family, I'll just leave it at this. We do, I know personally, we do everything we can to comply with, we miraculously are able to get by with the 64-gallon trash cart. We recycle heavily. I mean a lot. So to be limited in any of those capacities with the number of people in our household, it's just not feasible for us. And I know for many, many other families, I know some have spoken already, and I think we're probably kind of overlooking the real impact here. I know, we've talked about 50%, and some of us said 70%, and then, others have made a good point, saying, I think somebody said with the town and the limited staffing, trying to make a decision on what carts to distribute it. So if you go with a 35, and then some people are going to need an extra one, trying to bring those out, and then later somebody doesn't need, but he's got to pick it up. The 64 just makes the most sense.
You get that off the screen now.
And it's not like, I don't think people are just going to fill up a 64-gallon trash barrel that don't already, are just going to generate more trash. You know what I mean? I think you're going to meet the needs of both parties with this solution if you go with the 64. So, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
You're sailing Salem Street again. I liked your suggestion though, just from just one opinion, right? Of like, if it's off of like, what is your expected usage per household? Of how many people are in your household? If you had like 2 or 3, you get 35. If you have 4 or 5, you get the 64. You go up off of that. And then people need extra, they pay extra. And then a flat base fee, which you're saying at the end, that seems reasonable to me. I know others may not feel that way, but just for that feedback, that seemed.
Okay. Thank you.
doable. And do we have to decide between either 35 or 64? Or to be something, if we had if we went 64 and some people wanted 35, they could go down to a 35? Or is it like we just need one size because the trucks can't go back and forth? Just wondering on that.
I can only speak to what has been happening in towns around us.
Yeah.
So I know that they don't like openly advertise, pick your cart size, because they don't want complete chaos, in the
Right.
logistics of it. But in the case of someone that expresses a hardship with a 64, like either a steep driveway or,
Right.
Anything that would prevent them, they accommodate it with the smaller cart.
Okay, good. So the trucks can handle both.
Correct. And just to follow up on like the rollout of the recycling cart in advance of the contract, I know has thrown some people off because I think some people thought, oh, we're on automated. We're not. We're still on the same contract. But there was, there was 2 reasons behind why that didn't wait till this. One was we don't usually have any surplus money at the end of a fiscal year. It's so tight. And there was this past year, because we had an adjustment in one of our school assessments, it freed up some money, more than enough to buy the recycle carts. So then the second part was on the Trash and Recycling Committee. We thought perhaps by rolling out the bigger recycle cart, we might encourage people in the interim, before we even go to the new contract, to see if recycling boosts up a little bit more, just to see how it goes. And I know that for some, the really big recycle cart is not what they want. They're not mandated to use it right now. We're in the same contract. So if they don't like it, they could set it aside, because our ability to like trade out and give smaller carts, that's going to happen when we do the full rollout. So if the recycling cart is a hardship too, all of that has to be addressed at the time we do the full rollout. I know that there's been confusion. And it's hard. It's hard. We try to get the word out. I don't know how we can get word out to the people in town. We go on YouTube, we go on flyers, we go on TV, but still, it's hard. People are busy. So we appreciate the input, and any input is better for us to hear than none, be honest, So
I would also say,
appreciate
just
that.
in general, I think composting needs to be done more. I mean, our family needs to do it more. I think if there's just
Yeah.
more awareness, I mean, that's going to bring pounds down. And I think just standing up there, someone had something on the Teams or or Zoom chat about there was mandatory, there was something up there about mandatory composting or something. It was just flipped up there for a second, but.
In
just
Hamilton, they
general-
have mandatory, the town of Hamilton has mandatory composting. We have a grant, and we have the starter kit
Yeah.
to put your composting in, but to get it picked up by Black Earth, you have to sign
Right,
up and
pay
pay
them.
a monthly fee. Unfortunately, we're looking to find ways to pay that, but we haven't figured that out yet.
Okay, thank you. But that would go a long way too, I think.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Hi, Elaine Muse, 11 Cannon Hill Ave. I just wanted to clarify this again because I think there may be some confusion. If in fact you voted to go with the recommendation of the Trash and Recycling Committee, which is the 35-gallon bin,
Yes.
right? If people needed, if they had more trash than would fill that, and it sounds like there are many people that do, there's no doubt about it, they could get another 35-gallon barrel,
That's the recommendation.
and they would pay for that barrel?
They don't pay to own the barrel.
Okay, so,
They pay an annual fee for the additional trash.
and what would that annual fee be?
We threw out 175, which is about $3 a week, but that's open to the board's discretion because it's just a way to start a revenue
I
stream
see, okay.
to help
So-
support the trash
So
budget.
if a family needed 3 barrels, you can't do that. Only 1 extra barrel.
That would be over, currently, we're supposed to be doing 232s or 164, and I know it has been going off that. So we're trying to hold the line there by allowing the overflow trash bags, which are 32 gallons.
So you can buy a trash bag if you had weeks where you had a lot of stuff.
That's what we're recommending,
Okay,
Yeah.
and what is, a bag cost like $3?
$2.50.
Okay, so $2.50. So that would alleviate the additional taxes for the people that did not require the extra trash pickup.
Yes.
So it sounds to me like that might hold down the costs to the total town, and the people that needed more service would pay that part of the extra that they're disposing of.
Right, that's the basis of like a pay-as-you-throw program. If you're
Right.
using more than the recommended amount, then you pay a fee towards that
So
to
instead
help
of my tax
stabilize
maybe
it.
going up $300 a year, I'm just throwing that out,
Okay,
it would stay with whatever everyone else is paying, but the families that, and maybe that's my family, I would have to buy the extra bags to get rid of my extra trash.
yes, you would,
And if I had a party,
yes.
I'd
You
have
would
to pay
party.
extra.
If you needed the trash
If I
bags, yeah.
needed the trash.
Yes, you
Okay.
would,
That's correct, right?
yes.
So only the people that have more trash are paying for what they're throwing away. Correct. And if they found a way or a neighbor that would willingly take their extra trash, they might not pay anything else.
Neighbors help well, neighbors help neighbors.
That's where we build community.
Yes, it's true. Big neighborhoods, that already happens.
Opportunities here
Yes.
for us to join forces as a town of citizens that may not like each other all the time, but might be willing to hold the taxes down to each other. You like that one, Adam? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, DJ.
When'd you get that tattoo?
Sorry, I
Is that a
just,
new tattoo?
no.
I didn't see that.
DJ McNulty, Valley Farm Room. I feel like it needs to be said. I know we had a long conversation here.
Yeah.
We don't know what the cost of the contract will be until we decide whether it's a 35 or 64 gallon barrel that we're going to put forward to get, whether it's RFP, whether it's a sealed bid, whatever way we go about it. We
Right.
don't know what the cost is going to be.
Well-
We know that it's going to reduce the cost of $100,000 based on
Yeah.
the automation. We just don't know. So I feel as though we all have our opinions, but the board needs to make a decision on what they want to do they have the recommendation from the trash committee.
Right.
They've heard from a lot of people, and I know other people can speak as well, obviously, but
Yeah.
eventually a decision has to be made because we don't know what the cost is. If we put a bid forward to do a 64-gallon and that number is astronomical, again, we haven't bid in the last 5-6 years, right? It hasn't been bid out. Last time we did it was just automatic with Waste Management. It wasn't a bid, it was just an automatic charge that we didn't go out to bid, so we don't know what the cost is gonna be. So when we go out to bid with whatever it is, we're gonna it could go lower. We don't know. We have an idea because we did some research, and cost will go up over the next 5 years, but we're gonna be locked in
Yes.
for the price for the next 5 years.
Yes, and just, it's not like it's unknown. I mean, we can look at the contracts recently negotiated all around us. So we have a clue as to what the curbside pickup cost is and also what the tonnage cost is, right? And then there's variation between different companies. So,
So just to stop you there real quick.
yes,
So based on that, if we know the price on approximately what a 35-gallon RFP would look like, or what a 64 RFP gallon, what is that? What is the cost
Well,
difference to see if we have an idea? Is it a
can I ask-
$400,000 difference?
So-
Is it?
so-
Chime in 1 second. So the contract is only going to be negotiated on tonnage. They don't care what type of receptacle it's coming.
Yeah, they don't care.
And then there's no proof that going lower amount will change our tonnage, because it hasn't changed in
No,
5
no, no.
years. So-
Point of information, we do have evidence from other towns. I mean, and it doesn't happen overnight. Let me be frank. It doesn't happen like turning the lights on, but the trend down with the smaller cart is.
It's based on tonnage, though, not on the gallon of the cart.
The cart size doesn't matter on the bid.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, exactly right. He's correct.
So we're debating on what, we should just work on tonnage and not worry about what size barrel we get.
But the issue
Correct?
becomes the program itself, because
We-
the program itself, if they decide to go with 135 and then they say that you can opt for another 35, that changes the actual hauling aspect of things, not necessarily the tonnage per se. The tonnage is based upon how
might.
much you fill it, but getting the additional cart is what the hauler will need to pick up. So then we need to be able to tell them, one, you're getting an additional cart. So not only do you have to pick up 135 and 195, you're gonna have to pick up 195 recycling, and then you could potentially have 235s, and then you have to also factor in overflow. So each hauler is gonna look at that and say, okay, they have an additional 35 barrel that they're adding, and they have overflow. What's that gonna do for how much time they spend at each house? What do they have to pick up? What claw do they have to get out of the truck? That's when those details start to change. The tonnage is just the tipping fee. That's what they assign. Whatever you guys throw out is what we're gonna have to pay for the tipping fee. So that's kind of set on what you have for the sizes in that regard, but it doesn't change what we negotiate. What changes when we negotiate is the addition of overflow bags and the addition of additional carts. So how many carts are we offering? So if we do 164, that's pretty straightforward. If we do 135, but we opt for another 35, and then we have overflow, that changes what the haulers are gonna bid on when we put that proposal together. So we need to be able to have a firm understanding of what carts we're providing, so that we can then go back and say, this is the program that we plan to put forward, what is that going to cost? The tonnage is, again, a separate issue in the sense that it's gonna be, your tipping fee is $103. So whatever you decide to put in
Right.
there, that's what it is.
Right.
That doesn't really necessarily get negotiated. But how many carts you have out there, that one hauler could say, it's an additional $10 per household per cart that you add. Another hauler could say, no, we're there no matter what, it's a straight this. So that's when you get back into the what hauler can offer you one thing and what hauler can offer you another thing. But without knowing what those sizes are, we can't put together that scope, and they can't give us that pricing.
So, okay, so that's to my point.
Right.
We don't know a cost until we put forth and pick a barrel. So
Yeah.
obviously
Right.
the board needs to select what barrel they want to put forward. You guys are our voice.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that. When is there a decision is that like at the end of the night tonight that you're hoping on, or is that something that's?
It's not on the agenda as a.
It's not, okay. I apologize, I didn't look at the agenda, so.
I'll ask the board whether or not they feel comfortable, maybe we can make it next meeting, if the board feels comfortable
Yeah.
voting on it.
Okay.
But you also have to remember that necessity, creates invention. You know, that's when people really pull forward and start getting a little bit more creative. And so now if you only have a 35-gallon trash barrel, you're going to get a little bit more creative in how you handle your trash. And that's why the state's pushing the 35 gallons, because they have a real need to reduce the amount of trash that people are generating. I know that Hamilton, since I do have the information on that, they saw a reduction of 60% in their tonnage over the time that they put it. They've had 35-gallon trash barrels for 13 years now. They do have mandatory composting.
Mandatory.
You pay for it. You have to buy the initial barrel for composting. Then if the town can't afford to pay for it, then the people that have the composting pay for it. It's been an average of $75 per year for the composting. And these are all ways that make a difference. But I know I've talked to several people in town. Somebody with a family of 5 told me they bring out 35 pounds of compost every week. And I thought to myself, I can't imagine going into the store, buying 35 pounds of meat knowing that I'm going to throw it away. When I grew up, we had a set plan for our meals, a set budget, and there was one night in there that was leftovers where whatever it was got put in there, and there was no waste.
Yeah.
And I brought it up before, you know, my mother, I have a sister that's 15 years younger than me, a brother that's 18 years younger than me. My mother still used cloth diapers. So there was no diapers going in the trash because they were just washed out and reused. So there's definitely a way that it can happen. I know I've got a family of 3 right now living in my house. Well, 4 sometimes, depending on how many nights somebody else stays. But, and there's weeks I put one tall kitchen trash bag in my barrel. And you can make it happen. I know Brian Lynch, when we first started talking, came up and spoke, and he had a lot of weight behind what he said because I thought it was very well thought out and said. And it was because we did all these changes very quickly that Groveland wasn't ready for the 35 gallons. And it made a lot of sense to me. And that's something that I've held to this day because of the way that he said it. You sort of touched on that too a little bit when you first got up here and started talking. But it is possible, and it is going to take everybody in the community to actually think about what they're throwing away and what they're buying. And if everybody in the community pulls together, it can happen. Is Groveland ready to do that right now? I don't know.
I wish you guys the best of luck. I know we're all going through it, and ultimately a decision has to be made. I just was wondering we don't know numbers yet until we put something forward. So obviously a decision has to be made. So I just wanted to call.
Well, and we still have a little bit of time before we have to make that decision.
Thank you.
Hi, Bill O'Neill, 45 Mountain Park. Just one last comment to correct the record. Hiltz went out of business with us in the middle of the contract.
Yep.
At that time, we were forced to scramble to find another provider, another contractor vendor to collect our trash. The only one willing to do that on a really quick basis was Waste Management. Roll forward a couple of years, our interim town administrator had assured the board, I was one of them at the time, that he was negotiating a new 5-year deal with Waste Management that was going to cost us no more than 3% increase year over year. After that person left, Kathy can attest to that. Mr. Watson was also on the board at that. We were left to pick up the pieces at the 11th hour of the 59th minute to try and renegotiate something with anybody. There was no time to send out an RFP, RFQ, nothing. We did this over the phone during COVID, I believe, negotiating the best deal we could. So this is our first opportunity in 10 years to actually send out an RFP. So it's not like the town hadn't done it before. We hadn't had the opportunity due to circumstances far beyond our control. So I think that's a little bit of needed information on how we got where we are today. It wasn't by plan, believe me. It was by necessity because of circumstances that we were thrown into due to somebody that had basically misled us into believing something that wasn't factual at all. Thank you.
And actually, just a little bit to rebut that, if we have the decision made as soon as possible, we can start that process actually now.
Yeah.
And it's gonna put us in a better, put the town in a better position.
Yes, absolutely, Arthur, and that's the whole purpose why we're here today. We didn't have that opportunity 5 years ago, we didn't have it 10 years ago. This is the first time in 10 years that we're gonna have that opportunity to control our own destiny somewhat.
And the more time that goes by, the less bargaining power we're gonna have.
I agree.
So that's why we hope to get this, we have been working on this behind the scenes, and we're waiting for the final decision so we can actually put that RFP out, just so you know where the town kind of stands.
I was here a year before you started on the committee. I pretty much know where we stand, yeah? And this is just one of the variables we have to figure out before we can go to an RFP.
Yes, so we're waiting.
Next.
Mike Dempsey, Uptack Road. So I just want to say that I support the recommendation of the Trash and Recycling Committee for recommending the 35-gallon container. Obviously, as we hear tonight, no matter what you decide, and I think you probably have to really think about this, you're not going to make everybody happy, right? If you believe Arthur's numbers, at least 50% of the people may not be happy. But then, again, 50% of the people might be happy. So really, unfortunately, it's a very tough decision. You really can't, you can argue both ways. But I guess the question that I've got is, what's the purpose of trying to get us to a 35-gallon container? Right? Why? Because it seems like we're not going to be charged by what size container we get. So this idea that, well, gee, let's just give everyone a 64-gallon because what difference does it make? But I think the answer to that question really is it's called incentive. Incentive. When people have a 35-gallon container, the people who can fill it and use it, they're going to be perfectly happy, no problem. The people, like we've heard tonight, many people have said they can't do it, or they're putting out, they barely can get by with one 64-gallon. They're going to have a problem, but the committee proposed an answer to that. As we know, we've said that you can get another 35-gallon one, which would bring you up to 70 gallons. Or you can use overflow bags or a combination thereof. So the incentive is there. What's the incentive? Well, the incentive is financial, because if you start out and you need an extra 35, you're going to pay for it. Or if you're using trash bags, you're going to have to pay for that. So you're going to find ways to avoid that. Financial incentives are really the only tool that we've got to be able to reduce the amount of trash that we're throwing away. And so that's really the reason why I believe that the committee recommended the 35-gallon, because we've already heard that if we don't do this, if we don't meet the goal of reducing our trash, we're potentially going to have overrides. And then not only are the people who are having to pay for extra, everybody's going to have to pay extra. And again, the 50% of the people who can get by on the 35-gallon at that point are not going to be happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Absolutely.
We never hear enough, Greg. Please talk.
I'm going to. So
Donnie's there first.
So if you're going to,
What's up, Doug?
Everybody in town we're all in it together. We have been forever. I've been here
Oh, yeah.
66 years. So
Yep.
to say you're going to make 50% happy, that's kind of a bad idea. You're probably not even going to make 50% happy going with a 64. But if you start out with the 35, you're just going to irritate everybody. So what's next? You're going to plow only one side of the street, or you're going to charge people $300 to get to your house?
Only the 35
You know-
park size.
I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. Are you going to tell the police they can only take one cruiser out and 6 of them have to get in it and ride around?
No.
If you start out with the 64, as far as the trash thing, even before I was a selectman, I was asked to go to the Board of Health and help them with waste management one night, negotiate the contract. They came out with a price, let's say $600,000 for the year. I said, that's ridiculous. I think it should be $300,000. They said, oh, okay. So it ended up, just last week, I renegotiated my contract at work. Republic came in and gave me a quote for $235 a month. I was paying $440. I called Waste Management. I said, well, Republic said they'll do it for $230. All right, we will too. So I don't know what it is you're doing, but obviously it's not the right thing.
Well, we're not doing that part of it, Donnie, and you know that. We don't negotiate.
Give someone a 35-gallon container.
Well-
You know that it's not going to work for most people. All right, so now, but you shouldn't. And so Rebecca just said that's going to cost more money on the pickup.
Potentially could, yes, absolutely.
So you may as well start out
Not
with
necessarily.
64
No, that's,
and just work your way down.
go ahead.
Hi. It's a hard decision. It's very personal. I know what I'm about to say is hearsay. I have a lot of friends who live in Swampscott and Topsfield who just went to the 35. It was brought upon them almost shockingly. They didn't even know what was happening. They despise it. They hate it. And as most people do, they're very creative about it. If you'll talk to some of the businesses in those towns, they're running around latching all their dumpsters. People thought about, oh, someone will get a 35. I have a friend in Topsfield in a cul-de-sac. They bought one and they share it. They pass it around. People are creative. They don't like to pay for things they don't have to. And as for the part about, I don't want to pay for trash or I don't want to do that, we're a community. We've always been a community. I would never advocate for a la carte government. I don't have kids in schools, but I pay for it. I probably have never I've gone into the library once, but I pay for it. These are the things we do as a community that benefits everybody. And not everybody uses every service. Not everybody uses every service equally. But as a community, this is a basic thing that you will regret not doing well because we all remember the days of picking up trash down on Center Street or out at Quaker's Corner when we took away the bulk that time. When we went from 4 barrels in bulk to we got rid of that was an adjustment and it wasn't a pretty one. Ask the any DPW guys. They're picking up couches and stuff. So I really just think 64 and some people will fill it and some people won't.
Third time's a charm. All right. One thing I'm also thinking about is how to best, let's say everyone in the whole community went down to 35 and everyone's good with it, but you're still paying a lot of tonnage. How do you incentivize the people that are within the 35 to actually get less or to put less tonnage, to compost? There's a good in your heart that you want people to do, but
Right.
if I was in a household of 1 or 2, I'd say, what's going to be pushing me? The households 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will be
Right.
going hard to kind of how can I minimize as much as possible. If I was 1 or 2, we still want them to kind of bring their trash down and their tonnage.
Well,
How's
yes.
What's
Well,
that?
Yes, we've talked about this, this contract it should not be the end-all. It shouldn't be have all these forums, pick a cart, have a contract, see you later, we're done. Because the sustainability factor. So we've been looking at all different avenues on the composting, because that seems to be one of the biggest things. And I know Steve Baker has been looking into it as well. It's universal that we understand this could really help everybody all down the line, because I signed up for the Black Earth, well, we're paying for it, because I wanted to see what it was. I said, I'm not going to talk about something I don't know what it is, because I'm not a composter. I don't know how to do it. So you put it in the thing and they pick it up. And yeah, you pay a monthly fee, but that compost cart they give you, the small, it's the heaviest part of my trash. The trash I'm putting out now is much lighter, and there's only 2 of us, you know. So, and habits, like people have said, you know, they've talked about childhood where they never threw out food, and, you know, we've gotten into some bad habits of overbuying stuff and then throwing it out. You know, we've become a little too disposable coming out of this pandemic, it seems, myself included, you know. So changing habits and changing culture of habits takes a little time. But I think the town has a responsibility to be a partner in that by providing, you know, a place to throw out extra cardboard, by providing maybe a metal drop-off site a few times a year, making it easier for people to get rid of items that weigh a lot is a big deal, you know, making it simpler.
Yeah, and to
Yeah.
your question, how you would help incentivize the people that have small families to do the right thing. And that's one of the reasons why I think Haverhill made it mandatory composting, is to try to get some of that, capture a lot of that instead of going in the trash. I don't like the sound of mandatory or incentivizing people by restricting the amount of area that they have to throw trash. It just doesn't sound right to me. But you have to look at what's effective, what's going to work, what's going to be the end-all when it comes to how quickly the taxes go up. I mean, because ultimately, everybody knows taxes aren't going to go down. Right? Insurance is not going to go down. The things that drive our budget up and beyond the 2.5% are the things that we don't have a lot of control over. So when you listen to Greg, and he talks about the amount of money that was put in for overrides for the trash, because that is the one thing that can be cut. And once that money is in the system, it compensates for everything else, like insurance, that goes up beyond what we can collect. And that's why that money gets slowly pulled away from trash. And Groveland, over above all the other towns around here, definitely pays for the trash. Because Georgetown, they don't have regular pickup. It's each individual person's responsibility. The town still has to carry a contract. There's a cost related to that. But there's more reliance on you getting rid of your trash. And a lot of towns have done that way. Gloucester is pay as you throw only. That's the only way that you do it. And my uncle used to bring all his bags to his job. Of course, he was the owner, so it was easy for him to do that. But yeah, people get creative. I don't think Hamilton has a lot of trash on the side of the road. Did they when they first did it? Maybe. When you first changed from the bulk pickup, yeah, Groveland did too. But it's an adjustment, and it's something that has to eventually take place. So whether or not you force it on everybody quickly, or you let a little bit of time pass, that's just going to depend on how everybody here feels and how they listen to the people.
Thank you.
Because ultimately, we're all going to pay for it either way.
Yeah, and I would just, to echo what Kathy said, I mean, I fall into the larger family category where I have a family of 5, and I will say, I mean, the composting, prior to composting, we would fill a 64 every week, probably need an overflow bag, definitely need an overflow bag if we had people over. Composting definitely impacts that, and it's something that I've been a big advocate for. For me, a lot of this comes down to are the right, and I think it kind of echoes a little bit of what Jason was saying, but I don't want to put words in his mouth. Do we have the right things in place to support going smaller, or are we kind of doing it in reverse? And that's kind of where I'm at.
Jason?
Yes, Ed.
Like I've sit here and I listened to everybody, and I've said it before, the 35-gallon barrel is way too small. a 64 makes more sense. With the 35, you're disenfranchising half of the people in town, and that's not right. That's not common sense. And in the last couple of weeks, I was in two communities that have a 35-gallon trash barrel. One of them was Topsfield, and one of them was Malden. And Malden, I happened to hit that at night. People putting the trash barrels out. They have 35-gallon barrel. The lid on the barrels was sticking up, and they had bags inside that. And I got a chance to talk to a couple of workers from the highway department. And they said, I told them the circumstances. We're debating whether we go to a 35 or a 64. He says, don't be ridiculous. The 35s are too small. He says we have trash all over the place because the people can't get it all into the 35, so they put trash on top. The barrel is open, and the crows get in and rip the barrels apart. And he says we spend time picking up trash all over the place. So that made sense. I don't want to talk to the department heads. I want to talk to the guys that are out in the field doing the work. Exactly what happens. So down in Topsfield, same thing. I think I hit it on a Tuesday, and I saw a guy taking his trash barrel back. So I stopped. I told him where I was from and what we were trying to do. He says, "Are you guys crazy?" He says, "35 here is too small." He says, "There's just myself and my wife." And he says, "a 35 isn't big enough for us, and we do all the recycling that we can." And so I talked to the drivers of the trash truck, the guy that we have, fantastic. And I said, "What do you think?" He says, "Don't go to the 35s. He says, "What happens with the 35, he says, is people smash them, the stuff that's in there so that they fit." He says, "When we go to empty, it doesn't all empty. We have to physically get out and pick through to lighten it up." And he said, "Sometimes, even the second time we dump it with the arm, it doesn't all empty." And he says, what's really a big problem is pizza boxes. If you get pizza boxes that are soiled with oil and they can't go into the recycling, people stuff them into the 35-gallon barrel, and they smash it down, and it slows us down. He says, we have to get out of the truck and physically take care of it. So the common sense thing, the 64, makes more sense than anything else. And the other thing that I mentioned it before, most of the appliances that we purchase now, whether it be an air conditioner, a television, whatever, microwave oven, it comes in styrofoam. Styrofoam is not recyclable. And so if you some people buy a big widescreen TV with all the styrofoam, there is no way you're going to get all that styrofoam in a 35-gallon container in 1 week. You're going to have to store it somewhere and put it out the next week, and that's not even talking about the trash that you're putting out. So, and then I see in here have locations for cardboard. Well, I'm familiar with those roll-off dumpsters that people put recycling in, and which would be like for cardboard. Well, what do you think that people are going to do with the extra trash that they can't get into a 35-gallon container? It's going into that dumpster, and there's no way that you can stop it. And in addition, the same thing's going to happen if they can't get their trash in the 35-gallon barrel. They're going to put it in the recycling, all in a barrel, and that all in a bag, and it's going to get rejected at the plant. It just doesn't. It's not common sense to do a 35. You've got to do at least a 64, rather than disenfranchise a lot of people in Groveland. It just makes more sense. That gentleman, I think he left from School Street. I hope everybody listens. Oh, you're still there. You're the guy that tried to slam the door on me. But if you listen to him, he made a lot of sense up there talking about putting trash and recycling out. So my recommendation, go with a 64. It makes more sense. And so if somebody has a 64 and they only put 30 gallons in, what difference does it make? We're still paying the same fee. So do the right thing and go with a 64. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Yes, Jan?
Thank you. Jan Dempsey, Uptack Road. I just wanted to mention that I thought the same thing too, Ed, about extra cardboard containers. I was envisioning an open type of, or a way you could get the stuff in, but there's only a slot big enough for cardboard. So I don't think, that's why we recommended it. It's not like an open container that anybody could throw their trash in. It's very limited to a slot for cardboard. So.
Suzanne Lohack, 55 Main Street. Just a random question. We don't have as many people here. I didn't want to bore them with my problems. But I know you guys, I'm assuming there's going to be exceptions for commercial folks. What about agricultural? We have a farm. There's no way I can fit all of our trash in a 35. And we produce an inordinate amount of recyclables too. Shavings bags that don't fit in the slot in an extra bin. Is there an exception for those of us that have open space and farms?
We haven't addressed that at this
Okay.
point, but that's a good point, and we thank you for raising it.
Yeah, we haven't addressed that with farms, but commercial, we don't
don't-
offer pickup.
We don't offer pickup.
They have to do their own pickup.
Okay.
Anybody else? What about you, Becky?
We should went to sleep. No, she's there.
No. I'm here. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I'd be sneezing everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I love the feedback from everyone. This is really, really important. So, I'm personally, I'm not ready to make a decision yet, but I wanted to just kind of share where my head was at, because I just want people to understand that there's so many aspects to making this decision, right? So, obviously, the feedback from the residents with shared concerns that a 35-gallon is not enough. Feedback from residents with concerns for our environment is important. Thinking of the data that was shared by Mass DEP that shows limiting the size of the trash barrels per household is one of the proven strategies to reduce tonnage. So it's not like we're going into this saying 35-gallon to torture people. They have studies on it and found that does reduce tonnage. Also ensuring Groveland takes responsibility for offering alternatives, right, to contributing to the excess trash. The idea that trash tonnage is increasing, everything's increasing across the board. I really want to see Bill O'Neill's numbers because I thought that was very insightful. Another consideration is that federal funding cuts to Massachusetts are now totaling up to $905 million, with the largest reductions affecting transportation, energy, and environmental affairs and education. This is something I follow closely because I don't want to be blindsided by what our future budget may look like, but this is another consideration. As far as population goes, I know the aging population in Groveland continues to grow. Based on what I see with the number of students in our schools, going to Dr. B's presentations, the number of students is declining. The birth rate overall is declining. And then according to Arthur's numbers and the trash analysis, thinking it's 70.2% of households produce no more than 35 gallons of trash. So that makes me think, should everyone pay more or just those who produce more trash pay more, right? And then finally, just my mindset of the vote, I'm not voting for today or tomorrow, right? I am trying to think ahead. I know we talked about the 5 years, I believe was the contract length, right? But these cards that we're getting have that 10-year piece to it. So I'm really trying to think ahead for that. In 5 years, I would hate to have to switch and get all new carts all over again. So I think this is an important decision that really reflects our town's priorities as a community from an environmental standpoint, but also financial, and just keeping in mind what's best for the residents. So I know that's not an answer, but I just wanted everyone to understand where my head was at and all of the different parts that I'm considering when making this decision, because I don't take it lightly at all.
Thank you, Becky. Anybody else? Again, thank you all for coming up. We're going to resume with our regular meeting now, and we're going to discuss.
What's left?
Thank you
Run,
all.
Adam, run. Thank you.
If anybody wants to sit around and listen to bus route safety and consultation.
Or just.
I thought you might.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Anybody wants to learn how to compost, come to my house. Absolutely. I'll be happy to show you.
Do you have your own composter in the backyard and stuff? Did you have your own thing?
Compost right in the backyard.
Wow. We should get that on video.
We've been doing it for a million years.
I know, but people that don't do it like me, like, I don't know how. I know you have
Back
to
to
turn
that.
it, right?
No, you don't.
No.
Trust me. Piece of cake. I've been doing it 40 years.
Okay.
Everything runs. Not burning.
Okay. That's great.
Dig it up every once in a while, sift it through
Yeah.
a hardwood wall screen.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then you have a lovely compost that looks like chocolate cake crumbs. Then you throw it in your garden, and your garden
Yeah.
has a big happy smile on its face.
Yeah.
Well, you put worms in it so you can sell them to the fishermen.
Hey, you know, I found a ton of worms when I cleaned up the front driveway.
Arthur, thank you. Nice presentation.
Great job.
Oh, yeah, they like it. They like that.
Yeah, it was a very good presentation.
Learn how, come to my house.
Okay, thank you.
We might take you up on that.
I think we should get a video.
Hmm?
Or how to, I mean, it's like, let's do this away. If you
Just,
don't
can
know
I
how
make
to do it, you
a
don't
suggestion that we take 5 before we resume?
Okay. We're going to take 5 and resume in a bit.
Was one of them broken? Because I keep needing to bring the wood glue and a clamp. Is it one of them?
Rock and Dick were sitting there.
So are both of the arms okay?
All back? Becky, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
There.
Awesome.
Good. All right, so we're going on.
One of our longer meetings. I expected it.
What's that?
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thanks, Greg.
What a way to clear out a room.
Yep.
All right, Steve, you requested it.
I did. So what I'm looking to do is get a vote from the board to send a letter to the regional school committee as well as the Pentucket School Administration, asking them to consult with our public safety officials before making changes to bus routes in town. There was a lot of change, kind of last minute changes to the bus routes this year. And I think there were some safety issues that were introduced inadvertently, subsequently rolled back. I've spoken with the chief and I think we're in agreement that if we could just get the school committee and the administration to ask Salter to work with our public safety officials who understand, where the trouble spots are in town, where the, areas where there's high incidence of accidents and things like that. It would probably put us in a better situation to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep students safe when they're getting on and off the bus. And, just as an example, I guess to give you the most real example of kind of one thing that happened this year was there's a bus that goes down School Street to Salem, to Washington, to Uptack, and it's typically left Bagnell and gone that way and then come back, picking up students as it's going. So, if they're getting on and off on the side of the bus or the side of the street where there's a sidewalk. They changed it this year initially to have it go in the opposite direction. So kids were needing to cross the street and get on and off the bus on the side of the street where there was no sidewalk. Pretty dangerous situation when you think about Salem Street. I think that could have been kind of avoided if there had been a conversation with our police chief or public safety officials. So I was hoping we could, maybe ask the town administrator to write a letter on our behalf, just asking, we can't force them to do it, it's their contract.
I was gonna ask you to write it and bring it to the next meeting.
I would be happy to do that, if the board is on board with it. But I think if we can't force them to do it, but we could at least ask and say that it's something we're thinking about and bring it up as a concern. They changed it this year initially to have it go in the opposite direction. So kids were needing to cross the street and get on and off the bus on the side of the street where there was no sidewalk. Pretty dangerous situation when you think about Salem Street. I think that could have been kind of avoided if there had been a conversation with our police chief or public safety officials. So I was hoping we could, maybe ask the town administrator to write a letter on our behalf, just asking, we can't force them to do it, it's their contract.
I was gonna ask you to write it and bring it to the next meeting.
I would be happy to do that, if the board is on board with it. But I think if we can't force them to do it, but we could at least ask and say that it's something we're thinking about and bring it up as a concern. So I'd like to get the board's feelings on that.
How do you feel about that, Becky?
I agree 100%. Safety is really important, and I think if the bus company I think they should have guidance from our public safety people on when they're going to change bus routes. That just seems like the responsible thing to do. So I'm totally on board with what Steve is proposing.
Kathy?
My only question is, when they change the bus routes, does it go through the school committee or not? Because I want to make sure the process that we're speaking to is reasonable. You know what I mean? Like, do we know the process?
So we do not, and I do not believe that it goes through the school committee, and that is part of the concern and part of why I believe we should let the school committee know that this is on our radar.
Right, so can we find out, though? Because
I can tell you with certainty that they don't know, because I asked school committee members about this change and they had no idea.
Okay, so they don't see the routes. The routes come directly from the bus company to parents? It comes directly from the bus company to parents?
Through the administration, through the
superintendent office? And then to the parents? Is that, you're sure? This is what we know?
I'm 100% sure.
Okay, because I know that there have been problems in the past, but I just want to make sure we identify the process in the letter and just say, this is our understanding of the process, so that if we're misstepping or overstepping, it would be because we don't know their process.
Yeah, I don't think, again, we can't force them to do anything. We can just ask. So I don't think we should put ourselves in a position where we're saying, you have to do this. I think we should just say, it would be helpful if you did this.
Well, no, to some degree, I think we do have the authority, because if we have a large vehicle like a bus stopping in an area where there's no waiting place for the students, well, once there's snow, if there's a snowy winter, that's not safe, and our whole police and fire departments will become heavily involved in this bus stop. So we absolutely have the authority over somebody that's making a stop in a manner that is blatantly unsafe. So I don't think we have to ask. I think we have to state to some degree that the overall safety within our community is within our purview. But I would like to know the process, because it's not the first time I've heard complaints about bus stops.
Yeah, my understanding of the process is that the administration works, the district administration, the superintendent's office works with Salter to figure out the bus routes and then publishes those to parents. I don't know that the school committee has any involvement in that from the routing point of view. I'm sure they do from a contract point of view.
They don't.
I still think, letting them know that we're making this ask would be a good idea.
Right, but I also think that we have some authority as to the safety within the limits of our town, because it does involve our public safety department.
Yeah, unfortunately,
You
they are elected board, and they do not have to take any direction from us when it comes to this. Even if it's regarding our safety, the children, it's something that we very much want to try to partner with them and help create a better way of getting this done to ensure
Yes.
the child's safety. And I think if you try to be authoritative in a situation where you have no authority over the school committee.
Right.
All you're going to do is isolate them and us like has been done in the past.
Well, then to reach out to the other two towns and ask them if they also would like this to happen. That would be
potentially
more of
something
a
we could do.
regional response to it, because if it's happening here, maybe it's happening in the other two towns.
Yes, and fortunately, when we do go to the school committee with a well-written ask of such a thing, the other school committee members are from the other towns, so they'll be aware of it as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be big. I know Chris Manning would probably jump on board with that.
You're giving me a lot of credit to write a well-written letter.
You'll do fine. We'll all pick it apart and add and subtract, and then I'm sure Rebecca will have the final
sure.
say.
Yep. So, I mean,
Ed, what do you think?
Well, I dealt with these changes before, and I dealt directly with the school bus coordinator, whether it be with the city or with the Whittier Tech, bypassing administration, just went right to the school bus coordinator, and that worked out fine.
Good. Nicole?
Hi, sorry.
No worries.
So the change in the buses has been aggressive for like all of the kids in Groveland. There was an entire bus route that was changed out. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
yes, we can hear you.
There's definitely issues with what the district has done with that specific, with busing in general. Some of the new bus stops are a little bit dangerous. There's one right on Center Street at the corner of Center and Pandora that is, for smaller kids, that is not safe. I mean, there's not much we can do about it, I don't think, from a.
Now, it sounds like you are familiar with the school committee. Are you on the school committee? What is your role in this?
I'm a CPAC person. I am the CPAC co-chair.
CPAC coach.
The special ed
Oh, okay.
meeting. Yes. And it's, I go to school committee meetings and I watch them online, and it's, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's difficult, and that's why it's important
Yeah,
for
it
the.
is. There's, nothing comes out until it's like 2 minutes before we're supposed to be talking about it.
Yes.
For everyone.
And I understand it, and I understand how a lot of those things happen. But I think it's important that we go to the school committee, we talk about this with the school committee, and we try to come across to achieve a better way of doing it. It might not happen, it might happen, but I definitely think it's well worth the effort and to move something like this forward. Even go to the meeting. So,
Yes, fully.
Yeah, yeah, so I thank you.
Do we don't need a vote at this point.
No.
We need the letter first, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll bring the letter to the
Yes,
next meeting.
it's important because a lot of the bus stops have been changed, and it's been a lot for a lot of parents, and some of them there's just a lot of issues with busing this year.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And those are the types of issues that I think we could give some feedback on and potentially avoid.
Even the bus drivers like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
doing that, so I'm scared.
Good.
That's good. And that's the type of feedback I think the school committee needs, and I think moving forward, if they were to utilize some of the resources to circumvent that, I think it would be better for everybody.
So will the letter, getting back to Selectman Watson's comment, I don't know, I would assume that Laidlaw, or whoever they're contracting with, has a coordinator. I know Whittier, we have a bus route coordinator that the police would work with directly for any problems. So if there's a coordinator, that would be the person.
Yeah, we would have to, I mean, I think, again, because the district owns the contract, they would have to kind of figure out who would work with who. I just want to, my goal is just to get them on board with committing to working with our public safety officials, and then the details of that will probably take some working out. But I can bring a letter to the next meeting for review. I'll get it
Perfect.
out ahead of time so Rebecca can put it
And
in.
then school bus cameras?
Yeah, so actually on this one, I had a lengthy conversation with the police chief about this, because when I asked him about it, he did a ton of additional investigation, actually spoke to some other towns that have, cities and towns that have implemented this. And the feedback from those other towns was they've had success in what they've been able to kind of reduce the number of people that are blowing by buses and things like that. But there's some issues with the program right now. So the suggestion there was to kind of wait and see. Give the law has been in effect since January, maybe to revisit it in the future, because they've had some issues with I don't want to say issues. There just needs to be some clarification around some points of the law. For example, my understanding is some of the footage hasn't been tested in court yet. There's been some issues with the implementation of the cameras and things like that. So I guess on that one, what I would say is maybe we can just keep it as a future. We could certainly ask the school committee to start looking into it, but it might be a little premature. So maybe we just kind of table that one for now and revisit it in 6 months once the law has been in effect for a year, and see what, let other towns kind of pilot it first and let them make some tweaks to the implementation before we really dive into that one.
Or at least until after we sort out the bus route safety.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, I think anything we can do to reduce, people blowing by buses when they're stopped and have their signs out is great. I'm just not sure that is ready for prime time just yet. So I guess I'd make a motion to table that one for now.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Did Becky hear?
Yep. Oh,
We got to do the roll call, sorry.
Becky.
Sorry. I'm
worries.
sorry, Becky. Yes, in favor.
Yes, Kathy.
Jason, yes.
Steve, yes.
Yes.
All right. Next is the Groveling Housing Authority Capital Funding Certificate, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I looked it over at routine, and I'll move for passage.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Discussion?
Yes. I noticed that the pull cords are on there, and that's, I believe, what we voted for the last time. So I don't know what's going on, and I don't see any dollar amount here, unless I missed it. How much money are we talking about?
Is that the
And what's-
149,000?
Oh, okay, you saw that, okay. And the site lighting, where is it? Because I know we've done outdoor lighting before. Actually, can we just see what they actually did the prior time around? Can they give us a completion certificate of what they did do?
Well, I know,
Because the pull cords were the big deal. They said something about the bed, being in front of the pull cord, blah, 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 blah.
if I
Yeah.
remember from last year they were doing half. And then this year they were going to do the other half.
I don't remember that way.
I don't recall. I asked for additional details, which is why in your packet, the memo says in response to the town's request for more details on the proposed project, they included what you see as number 1, 2, and 3.
That's just
So
a
I
form.
too, based upon the conversation, asked for additional information. and received limited response. I did express that the board would want to receive additional information, as Select Board Member Castronellis has done so previously, as this comes up annually, and we are not given much information by the Groveland Housing Authority.
Right.
But what you see before you is my attempt to get the information prior to the meeting, and unfortunately, that's all the information I have. So we're either going to need to vote as is, or the board, if they would like, we can invite Clara and her staff and/or ask for them to prepare a memo with those additional details.
I believe when they submit this, they have to submit a plan that itemizes what they're doing to get the money. It's federal money. I don't see that here,
All
but,
the documentation I received is in your packet.
correct, I understand that, but I'm just saying, I believe there is documentation that would give us the information to know what we're voting on. So, myself personally, I feel like I want to make sure that what's being done and where it's being done, how many units are we doing the kitchen floor in?
We can
All
share
four
with you
build-
email
yeah,
correspondence.
just-
We've asked those questions, and the answers that we received are those that were included in the memo.
Okay.
Is
Well,
is there a timeline that they have to have the certification?
That I'm unsure of. I do know that it's a requirement under the statute for them to receive approval from the select board. However, I'm not sure in regards to their actual timeline.
Well, you, Becky.
I would like the detail.
I agree with Kathy. I didn't get a chance to look back to see what they had done before. This just seems a little bit vague.
Yeah, I know last time we did invite them in. Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, this is something that they bring to us every year, and it's so that they can get the funding, get the money from HUD. And, it's nothing that the town has to pay for, and it looks like, if you read it, the painting walls and ceilings in the hallways, interior installation, new flooring in the kitchens, new pool cords, outside lighting. It's regular maintenance, but they have to file this with us so that they can get the funding from Housing and Urban Development.
And I know myself, reading through this, HUD does do a lot of oversight in terms of what they require and how that money is spent. A little more so this year due to Executive Order 14218. So I myself feel comfortable with it. So seeing as how there's a motion and a second, and we've discussed it, I'll call for the vote. Ed?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Jason, yes. Kathy?
No.
Becky?
Yes.
4 yeas, 1 nay, passes. Okay. We have appointments. So I'll make a motion to appoint James Stefani of
Stefanian.
Stefanian
Sarpanian.
of Groveland to the Conservation Commission as an alternate member effective September 15th, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
Second that. Can I just ask on this issue, we appoint people a lot. I just want, do we keep advertising? I mean, how do people know?
So we have a webpage that has all the vacancies.
Okay, and that's what they look for.
I imagine, and sometimes I know
Okay.
that people will reach out to Annie, the executive coordinator, and say, listen, I'm interested in volunteering. What is there that's available? And, this is why I want to volunteer. What boards do you think I would be suitable for?
Okay. So I just wondered if like quarterly or something, we should have a list of what's open so that we can just, highlight that during our meeting. Not every meeting, but like quarterly? Would that make some sense?
Can do that.
As in, that way I would understand more what's open, because sometimes I wonder, I have to go look for it. Yeah. That's all. Thank you.
All right, since we have a motion, a second, and discussion, any further discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. Ed?
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Steve?
Yes.
Jason, yes.
Kathy, yes.
Becky?
Becky, yes.
Okay.
All right, approved. I'll make a motion to appoint John Gray of Groveland to the Board of Registrars as a Republican member effective September 15th, 2025 through March 31st, 2026.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion?
Just one question. Was there anything in the packet about that one? Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I didn't miss it.
That's it? Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'll second it. Nobody seconded it?
Yes, no, it's been seconded. We were on discussion. No discussion. I'll call for the vote. Becky?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Jason, yes. Steve?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
All right, I don't see any old or unfinished business. No other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of posting. And that leads us to administration time.
I just have 4 updates. One, to let the board know that the Salem Street Dam, the Conservation Commission approved the order of conditions. This is a big step forward for the project. The final order of conditions still needs to be signed, which we expect to happen soon. The main obstacle that we have before us is unfortunately the seasonal restriction. It's part of the local wetlands protection bylaw, and it prohibits work from September 15th, which is today, to April 15th. So we have not had a signed order, so we have not finished the work. So we will need to request a waiver from the Conservation Commission at their next meeting in October. Once we have these final approvals, the project should only take about 1 to 2 days to complete. For capital projects, I just wanted to alert the board that we will be sending out the request form for the departments for fiscal year 2027 capital improvement plan. So we are now in the process of reevaluating our current capital improvement plan, and we will use the information from these new requests to consider and prioritize projects. Unfortunately, we still haven't closed out the fiscal year for 2025, so we're not exactly sure what we have for funding sources available to us. But once we get that information, we can finalize the plan and move forward with these projects. And then just at the last meeting, a clarification. So I was recently contacted by a resident who had watched the meeting, and we had made a statement that at the select board meeting that the Basileia Bridge was going to result in the closure of the bridge, and that is not correct. Mass DOT has confirmed that the bridge will remain open throughout the entire replacement project. The plan is to maintain 1 sidewalk and 2 lanes of vehicle traffic at all times. So while some commuters may choose to detour and go the route that we were talking about, that's not necessarily a requirement. And he just wanted to make sure that that was clear, and that we did not mislead residents to let them know that the bridge would be closed. So I just wanted to make that point of a clarification based upon that request. And then finally, just to let you all know that as you saw, Colin Stokes, our former our water and sewer superintendent, has resigned from his position. We're very grateful for his contributions and excited to see him take this new step. However, that left us in a little bit of a bind with not having a water and sewer superintendent. So he has graciously agreed, and we've signed an agreement for him to be the interim water and sewer superintendent while we search for a replacement for that particular position. So his hours will be limited, but he will be able to assist us during this transition, and we appreciate everyone's patience. But we are doing the best we can with the staff that we have and making sure that we have the coverage that we need in order to get outstanding projects and also run the day-to-day operations. And then the rest of the memo that you have before you is just the standard, so I'm happy to answer any additional questions that anyone may have in regards to that.
Any questions for Rebecca?
Mike has one.
No
Yes.
oh.
Go ahead.
No questions, but thank you for getting the clarification on the bridge.
Of course.
Yes, thank the residents.
The seasonal restriction doesn't start until November 11th.
I'm good.
No waiver.
We're needed, so once we get the signed order, we'll be good to go.
Good. So just on, I know you may not know this, but on the water and sewer, like they closed 1 well, right? No, they closed 2 wells to do the test. Is that related to the PFA, the PFAS thing? Is that what's?
I'm not sure about.
Okay, because we're getting the phone calls and the red alerts, and I'm just curious. I mean, I know it's a drought too. I understand that, but they said something about needing to test the wells. Did you get the message?
Yeah, but that was done a while ago.
Not that far.
Yeah,
Within the past 2 weeks, I've got
I think there was one closure, but I think they were just making some general infrastructure or maintenance changes.
Okay.
But I think it's back online and up and running. I think
Yeah.
we're just in the drought.
Because I got the notification that it was back up online, and it was a day or two.
Okay, so it's not like a thing that's going to happen, like, because we're doing that water study. Okay, that's all I was curious about. Good, thanks.
All right, with that, we're going to move on to Select Board time and reports. Becky, you got anything for us?
Yes, I do. I'll probably steal everyone else's thunder, but I wanted to thank all the volunteers and everyone that put together the Groveland Day Parade and the events. It was an incredible day. I was honored to be part of that parade and to walk with all of you. I thought it was great. Thoughts for next year, if you could just cool it down just slightly, because for some reason Groveland Day ends up being like the hottest day in September. That'd be my only request, but other than that, it was great. So I want to thank everybody involved. It was a really great day for Groveland.
Kathy?
I have two things. One is that I know there's a survey request out there for, I'm not sure what age you have to be older to get the survey, where the card was mailed out. It's a really neat survey, asking if you live in your own home, if you wanted to downsize, and it's not from a real estate agent, it's from our council on aging. Let me qualify that. Asking, what kinds of activities do you want to do? It was very, very comprehensive, and I really encourage people, if you didn't get the card and you're in that age bracket, you can go to their website to look for it, the Council on Aging, or you can come to the town hall. They have hard copies, but it's not a very long survey, but it's very comprehensive, and I think great way to have some input into your town and services. And the second thing is I went to a event, I guess, at VZ that was sponsored by the Garden Club, and I forget what the title of it was, but it had to do with light pollution and darkness. And the gentleman that spoke was fascinating, at least, he's very sciencey, very scientific about light and how it spreads and how it pollutes and what kinds of lights are great and not great. And he showed pictures of like security lighting at a school that had been changed out so that it didn't do the pollution thing, and it actually made it more visible to see the building without the glare of these huge floodlight type things that tend to be used. And it was just, I think these kind of events are great. They're a great way to learn about the world, a great way to see what's going on in the world. And to that point, a friend of mine said, well, gee, I didn't even know about it. And I thought, could we have like a community push button where you could see what events are going on this week that you might want to go to? I know we can't do everything, I mean, sporting event, but all this things you can visit, seminars, plays, concerts, so people, if they want to push the one-stop button on the site, they can find out if there's anything to do this week, if you feel like getting out of the house and doing something. I thought it was really, really fun. I enjoyed myself.
I would think that would be on the calendar.
Yeah, but like some radio stations do what's up, for this week, like what you want to do, right? Like it's a play you could click and say, what's going on this week? I have some free time.
Yes, I agree.
It'd
And
be-
I think that would be great for you to get together with Chris and do that.
Chris? I'm going to throw my shoe at him now. Don't even try looking back this way.
I just want to echo what Becky said. Groveland Day was awesome. I think everybody involved did a fantastic job. My only suggestion for next time we have a parade is that the select board have a sign. That would be cool. People didn't know who we were. I'm just kidding. And then the only other thing I was going to say was just, again, thank you to everyone that came out tonight. I think getting feedback from the community is always really, really important, and I thought it was a really good discussion, and I think, from my perspective, the more information we have, the better.
Yes, I agree. The information's important, the feedback's important, but I think it was also important to give us an opportunity to provide a little bit more education to the people that came in the audience and to the people that may actually watch this on the TV. Ed?
I'm all set.
All set? All right, I do have, I have to read this, even though Kathy already brought it up.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's quite all right. The Council on Aging is asking all Groveland residents 60 and older to complete a living and aging in Groveland survey to help guide our work towards an age-friendly community. Surveys are available online, town hall, or by calling the COA. So you can do it over the phone with somebody from the COA.
Good.
So that does, makes things nice and simple. The Groveland Historical Society presents the 22nd Annual Pines Speedway Reunion, rain or shine, under the big tent, Saturday, October 4th, 2025, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's always a fun event. We're going to have special exhibits, live band, raffle, food service, lots of fun for the whole family. I'm inclined to agree. Now, I did sit in on the Whittier School Committee meeting online, just as a resident, and I was, because they were supposed to appoint the building committee.
I'm going to recuse while you do that.
It's fine, I'm just reporting. No discussion. And I was really surprised that 5 members of Haverhill were put on that committee. It wasn't done as I expected it to be done, and I don't think it was done as anybody's expected it to be done. If whoever we recommended got appointed, there was no, and I think Haverhill just appointed a few people because, recommended a few people because they thought that to give them some people to choose from. The chair seemed to pick out everybody that was going to be on the board. There was no discussion about who was going to be on the board. There was one member, I believe she was the Newbury representative, who called them out on it. And another gentleman on the other side, I don't remember what town he was from, that also agreed that something wasn't right. But for the most part, everybody went along with it. The chair did state that he didn't look at where they were from, which I found a little odd because he took everybody's recommendation. But he based it on who would be good for the position. Later on, he said that the reason why he chose everybody that was recommended from the towns was because he didn't want to insult anybody, because he felt the towns put together some real effort in picking the people, which I thought was fairly accurate, and I can understand that point of view. But they also had appointed another board prior to the building committee. And again, the chair seemed to pick everybody, and there wasn't any discussion. It was very odd. So I did note that, and I wanted to follow back up with that particular school committee and find out what the deal was, because it didn't seem quite right and didn't sit well with me. Yeah, that was it. I will be going to that. I did attend another Whittier meeting. It was more of the same. We're going to be getting more into the agreement, which is why I had given everybody the agreement so we could dissect it and see where we want to go. And again, I still have the feeling that a lot of this is more to keep us informed and less about actually making any of the decisions. Because ultimately, the school committee does make the decisions, which is at least how I feel it should be done anyway. But I think it's very important that we do participate and we do have our input, because ultimately it's got to be voted on by the townspeople. And if we get behind it, hopefully the townspeople will get behind it. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call out. Becky?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Me, yes. Steve?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.